2021 in retrospective series. We're looking at the judiciary. This is NTA Network News. We're live in Abuja. I'm Ian Ray. John Adeola Komiakere joins us from Lagos while Zenret Dingmun is in Jos. Welcome. The Presidency has responded to reactions generated by the decision to withhold assent from the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2021, which came under scrutiny from media and political circles. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity in a statement said it is quite correct because it is a decision that will impact all Nigerians.
The Presidency explained that Nigeria's strength as a nation and its status as one of the wealthiest economies in Africa, with one of its highest standards of living, owes above all to its proud democratic processes, which are enshrined in the Electoral Act of 2010. It is this act which the new bill seeks to amend with the aim of enhancing and building on the democratic processes. It says after careful review, the President's office rather found out that the proposed amendments entail significant legal, financial, economic and security consequences for all Nigerians, principal among which will be a severe spike in the cost of holding primary elections by parties, which is integral to democracies the world over. It also noted that Nigerian taxpayers are to pay for the cost, while only the richest of political parties would benefit at a time when the nation is seeking to extricate itself from the economic situation occasioned by COVID-19. The Presidency also noted that it is the usual voices with cynical claims of election rigging and so on that are heard, making references to similar scenarios in 2015 and 2019. Therefore, not surprised to hear same with 2023 around the corner. Garba Shehu said the President will do whatever he can to protect this country's democracy, and that includes withholding assent from this bill, noting that the ruling APC is one of those that stand to benefit from a bill that favors wealthier parties, but it is not the job of this government to protect the APC, but Nigeria, her people and her democracy. To those that would rather believe that limited public funds be spent on politicking during this time of global crisis, the Presidency advised that they cease the cynical games, tell Nigerians openly what they want by putting their money where their mouth is. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari withholding assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill transmitted to him by the National Assembly has continued to generate public reactions. Some legal practitioners who spoke with Olabode Arewa on the issue believe strongly that the President's concerns are valid.
The Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2021 has dominated public discourse in recent times. This is due to the expectation that it will guide and kickstart activities towards the 2023 general elections. The National Assembly, after working on it, transmitted the bill to President Muhammadu Buhari for his assent. But citing some contentious issues on the bill, the President declined assent and returned it to the National Assembly for review. The President observed that mandating political parties to adopt direct primaries is not in the best interest of Nigeria's political development.
What the President has done is not only constitutional, it is legal. 100% legal. But don't forget that some of the issues that the President raised in his refusal to assent to the bill are so germane that I know that quite a number of Nigerian citizens are waiting to challenge it in the law court.
That one, as we say, is within the purview of the power of the President by the Constitution. But if you want us to interrogate whether we should know this is all about politics, and from time to come now, the issue, I believe, will be so debated.
The legal practitioners want the National Assembly to seek a middle ground on the matter.
What the President is saying in essence is that, look, allow the political parties to determine the best method that they want to use in coming up with their candidates, either direct or indirect.
individual political party has their own terms of how to run their election, forgetting that for you to be a political party in Nigeria, you must subscribe to obey, to follow into the rules and regulation, particularly the Nigerian law. Once that one has been made into law, it is the duty of the political party to follow the law.
Observers say it is right in law that the withholding of assent to any bill falls within the constitutional power of the president in Abuja or Labodarewa. NTA News.
And still on electoral matters, 2021. Another busy year for INEC, especially in the area of technological innovations. Mia Ogidi in our 2021 review series takes us through some of the ups and downs on the activities of the electoral empire and the assignments in 2022.
It was December 9, 2020. Professor Mahmoud Yakubu was reappointed as INEC chairman, and the staff happy. Praises from the staff, promise from Mahmoud.
We hope to introduce a new technology.
Just a single agenda, digitizing INEC operations. So 2021 was a year of technological revolution, as it were. First, the commission goes to the communities for the creation of more polling units.
To unveil the new polling units in Nigeria.
25 years old jinx broken. Additional 56,872 polling units created, bringing the total number of polling units in Nigeria to 176,846. More polling units, a forerunner to the continuous voter registration exercise. In June 2021, the continuous voters registration started, and in December, over 7 million registered.
All being replaced with this.
The birth of the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, sends smart card reader and Z-pad to extinction. Esoko South State constituency by-election in Delta State was the laboratory for the test of this new device in September. Each is noticed, and INEC says they are surmountable. Then the Anambra governorship election, BVAS didn't behave well. INEC admitted the failure once again. Another round of assurance.
We wish to assure Nigerians that the Commission has reviewed the performance of the BVAS in Anambra State, and there will be tremendous improvement leading to optimal performance in future elections. The BVAS has come to stay.
The much talked about electoral bill is still shuttling the National Assembly and the presidential villa. A dominant point is the direct primaries proposed in that document, and the president declined for obvious reasons. That is 2021, and in 2022, INEC is quite busy. 68 constituencies to elect 6 area council chairmen and 62 councillors on February 12 in the Federal Capital Territory, Ekiti governorship election on the 18th of June, and Osun governorship election July 16th, while 8 pending by-elections also on the timetable for INEC in 2022. Party primaries already here, and INEC sticking its neck to see the preparations by the parties.
Political parties must therefore hold themselves to the same high standard of free, fair, transparent and credible elections that they expect from INEC during general elections.
With all these elections in the year 2022, quite an engaging year, you may say. Yes, it is. But it is even more engaging than you may think, because majority of activities for the 2023 general elections coming up in February will be performed in the year 2022. I may say about 70 to 80% of the activities slated for the 2023 general elections will be performed in 2022. INEC has already proposed 305 billion naira for that exercise. So you now agree with me that the year 2022 is not only for these major elections, but considerable time will also be devoted for 2023. Mie Ogidi, NT News.
Many thanks, Mie. And as we count down to the end of the year, like every other sector in Nigeria, the judiciary lived up to expectations of Nigerians in 2021, particularly when it mattered most in cases that threatened our democracy. In this report, correspondent Austin Ayimbe takes a look at few landmark civil matters that were resolved by the Supreme Court.
The judiciary has been a strong pillar of Nigeria's democracy, having been involved in adjudication of intra- and inter-party squabbles, and to a large extent restore confidence in the nation's electoral process. Between 2020 and 2021, several civil matters arising from the conduct of primaries and governorship elections were entertained. The first was the Edo governorship election, where Godwin Obaseki of the People's Democratic Party was dragged to court by the APC and others over alleged certificate forgery. Justice Ahmed Mohammed of the Federal High Court, Abuja, however, dismissed the suit for lacking in merit. Not satisfied, the complainants pursued the case up to the Supreme Court, but still suffered the same fate for the APC not being able to prove a case of forgery against Godwin Obaseki. The second one was the case instituted against Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu by the PDP governorship candidate Eita Ojegede in the October 2020 under governorship election. The grounds of the petition were that Akeredolu was not validly nominated by the All Progressive Congress by virtue of the fact that the APC Caretaker Committee is illegal. The governor won at the tribunal and the Court of Appeal, a feat that was equally followed at the Supreme Court.
It doesn't matter that it is those who file actions in court that must win. So the facts of the matter as put before the judiciary must be the deciding factor in arriving at conclusions in political issues, rather than succumbing to political pressures from quarters that are not supposed to interfere.
Sometimes a case already failed even before coming to court because of the pleadings prepared by counsel. But you can see that in Edo and Ondo, the court followed the trend, how the pleadings were done, and everything pursued up to Supreme Court, and judgments were delivered within time.
The one that is fresh in mind is a controversy that characterized the party primaries in the just concluded Anambra governorship elections. Litigation that followed the primaries almost marred the exercise, but the Supreme Court moved swiftly to put to rest all contentious issues by recognizing Professor Charles Soludo as the authentic candidate of APGA in the election. The election he won and awaiting swearing in, analysts have the view that the judiciary has performed well in 2021, considering the number of both criminal and civil cases filed before them. They express hope that the judiciary continue to uphold her independence, particularly as Nigeria edges towards another election period. In Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
Now, looking at other matters, to fill the pause of the management of the next cash and carry supermarket, whose business complex was gutted by fire Sunday morning. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Muhammad Musa Bello, visited the scene of the unfortunate incident to ascertain the level of damage. Onoze Yakubu was there and brought back this report.
On arrival at the scene of the fire outbreak that occurred on Boxing Day, FCT Minister Muhammad Musa Bello, in company of some top management staff, took a tour around different sections of the gutted supermarket, where he expressed shock at the extent of damage and the economic loss. He assures the management of Next Cash and Carry supermarket of the administration's support in reviving the destroyed business complex.
I really sympathize with Next. I do so particularly because I recall during the heat of the COVID-19, Next, under the leadership of Mr. Ndibe Obi, were among the foremost companies that provided tremendous support to the FCT administration by providing us palliative items which we distributed to vulnerable members of the community. Unfortunately, today they are also very vulnerable. So it's our duty in the city to rally around them, protect this important investment and generator of many, many jobs in the city.
While goods worth billions of naira were reportedly destroyed in the inferno, men of the Nigerian Police Force and the FCT Fire Service are still on ground to put out the remaining raging fire and to also safeguard goods that were not affected by the fire. Onoze Yakubu, NTA News.
And you know, when fire disasters strike, efforts to extinguish the fire come from different walks of life, with insurance playing a significant role in restoration. Abdullahi Muhammad takes a look at the case of the supermarket fire in Abuja.
The fire disaster may have struck without any form of warning, but men and equipment from the fire service stood their grounds. The Nigeria Police and its sister agencies gave cover, and the vicinity of the supermarket and items salvaged from the fire secured.
That viral videos are false, fake, is not true. All those trolleys, they were pushing those goods to safety, which we have shown Nigerians, they have seen it. All the media houses have already seen it. It's not true. The place has immediately been cordoned by all the joint security agencies. And I must commend the FEMA, the FCT NEMA, and all the security agencies for prompt response.
Questions by hundreds of Nigerians whose livelihood depends on the business raise concerns.
We depend on this place. We depend. If this place is shut down like this, tell me somebody like Blessing, as in tell me how food will come to my table.
An interface with a player in the insurance industry gives a ray of hope.
You may have insured the place for X amount at the beginning of the year and paid the premium, as it were. But in the course of the year, you may have increased the content, you may have increased the value of the contents of everything, and where the insurance is not properly informed of the content, sometimes there is the wrong way what was damaged was of more value than what was insured.
Days after the fire disaster broke out here at the supermarket, there's still flames from some part of the building. An intermittent blast from combustible materials in there, indicating the fact that this fire may continue to burn for a couple of more days. In Abuja, Abdullah Mohammed, NTA News.
Now, joining me via Zoom to discuss issues bordering on insurance is the Regional Manager, North Old Mutual Nigeria Insurance, Abayomi Ayegbusi. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Now, let's begin. The inferno at Next Cash and Carry Supermarket is the latest in the series of such. You will agree that this is one disaster too many. What exactly is the role of insurance for a business of this magnitude, considering the owners, vendors, and all other businesses in the value chain?
Okay, thank you very much. For Next Cash and Carry, it's a public building, so I will start from that. And in the real sense of it, there's a law. There's a law in Nigeria that guides the insurance of public building. The truth of the matter is that the Section 65, subsection 3 of the 2003 Insurance Act actually makes it mandatory for all owners of public building to provide insurance for the building, for their building, including government. Everybody, the moment your building is a public building, whether it's supermarkets, hospitals, whatever, you are supposed to provide insurance cover, which is the building liability for your building. So if you look at Next, that is one part of the building. I had my colleague that just spoke the other time talking about even the content. Yes, that should be taken by everybody, by the owner of a supermarket to cover his goods. But by law, there's a law that requires you to insure your building. So what we've been having is enforcement to make sure that people adhere to these laws. This is not the first time this will happen in Abuja. We had a case of Ebano not too long ago. I was also on ground to look at that. I was on ground yesterday too with some of my colleagues in other arms of government, and the damage, it's just too enormous. So there's a law that governs this, and I think what we should do now from now is to make sure that that law is adhered to and strictly enforcement is carried out.
Okay, talking about enforcement and ensuring that the law is carried out, what exactly are the hurdles before businesses and perhaps premises without insurance cover or those that are not up to date?
Okay, so this is what you have now. Because if you look at Next, even looking at that building, the building has to go down. So it's like you are starting afresh. And you can imagine, compare the amount you are paying as premium to the amount, because what insurance now do is to come in immediately and restore you to that position you were before the incident, immediately after it. That is the role of insurance. So for and that is why it's compulsory, because a lot of people depend on this. So the law is not actually protecting you, but it's also protecting your dependent. And in case of NECs, I even know that there are some like vendors, private vendors in there that also have their businesses in there. So all of these are gone. And that is why the challenge is the fact that this cannot be done just by one agency. So you have the fire service, you have the NICOM, you must have the security agencies.
So it's a joint effort.
It is a joint effort, yes.
Okay, I'm sure you should be able to give us a picture, Mr. Abayomi. What exactly is the insurance penetration like right now in the country? And are we seeing more acceptability coming from the coronavirus pandemic and other related downturns?
Okay, so the penetration is still very poor, but it's improving.
Okay.
Because now people are now beginning to see the importance of insurance. So from the issue from the angle of the pandemic, that actually have to do more with life insurance, at least from federal government, from so many people that took insurance, life insurance, for example. You find out that a lot of payment went out to people who lost their life during this time and some other things. So the same way for property insurance, also people who, you also had not just fire, even collapse and all of that.
All right.
These things happen every time, yes. So the role of insurance is, the awareness is improving. And one thing I found out that NECs is actually insured. So people are also going to see that insurance will also compensate. Whether it's adequate or not is another issue. But at least when they see this payment, then they make.
I'm sure we can talk about that another time because of time, Mr. Abayomi. Thank you so much for joining us on 98 Network News tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right, time for a short break. Please stay.
Brings with the Airtel family plan. Get bonus talk time, SMS and data for each family member you share with. Dial *141# now. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Dear friend, as 2021 ends, we share your gratitude for its blessings. We acknowledge your low moments too and wish you strength to carry through. At Bedmate, we'll keep making your living better because we believe that furniture is not just an item made of wood, glass, marble, or steel, but a symbol of your unity and good times with your loved ones. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year full of all the finest things you desire.
Madam, how much lasts for this bag of rice?
Customer, I don't give you better price now.
Madam, do well, I go come out.
Oh yeah, come pay. How you want to take pay now? You want to take pay for bag of rice? You be Mongo Park? See, make I tell you, times don't change.
My country people, before, our people they use different things as money, trade by barter, cowries. Today, we know money as Naira note. But because say the only thing when they constant na change, Central Bank of Nigeria don't introduce e-Naira. E-Naira, na the same thing as Naira. 1 e-Naira equal to 1 Naira. E-Naira go dey inside your phone. E-Naira no dey tear, e no dey heavy. E dey easy to transfer and you fit use them buy and sell just like Naira note. To begin use e-Naira, ask your bank. This message now from the Bankers Committee.
Season's greetings, Abuja. It is that time of the year again when we celebrate and merry for seeing yet another year. We like to say a big thank you to all our taxpayers in the FCT for the opportunity to serve you throughout the year. And we look forward to working with you in the new year as partners in building the FCT of our dream. Merry Christmas and a prosperous new year from all of us at FCT Internal Revenue Service. FCT IRS, it pays to pay your tax.
For those wondering if the new Schweppes Zobo tastes as good as they say it does, experience tells us. Try it. Find out for yourself. Introducing new Schweppes Zobo. made with over 200 years of experience.
Introducing an all-time mega offer. Get over 50% discount in the Airtel Home Broadband mega offer. Buy a router for just 10,000 naira and get up to 240 gigabyte or a MiFi for 5,000 naira and get up to 125 gigabyte bonus data. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband buy.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Grab your special Chivita and Hollandia Christmas packs today. Available while stocks last.
From the heart of the Federal Capital Territory
to the ancient city of Kano,
from the sprawling rooftops of Ibadan
to the bustling markets of Aba and the creeks of the Niger Delta, you really can't beat the reach.
Over the years, we have kept going, keeping you informed, educated, and entertained.
And how have we survived in the very challenging year?
Because of our pillars of support, namely the 3 tiers of government: ministries, departments, and agencies,
corporate bodies and advertisers,
religious bodies,
civil society groups,
political parties, and most importantly, you, our esteemed viewers. Together, we made 2021 great.
And together, we shall make 2022 greater. Thank you.
From all of us here at NTA, your season's greetings and a prosperous new year.
Thank you for staying. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture has adopted a new policy on agricultural technology and innovation for the country's agricultural development. Musa Ali reports that the policy is to be implemented from 2022 to 2025.
These are a group of women farmers in Kano State learning how to use heavy-duty farming equipment to enhance their output. Operating the machine is not as easy as other local equipment, but is faster and can cover a large area in a short period of time. And the guideline for the use of technology and innovation introduced by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture is to support smallholder farmers like these women. The policy, unveiled by the Minister of State for Agriculture, Mustafa Baba Shehuri, is to enhance access to improved inputs and linkages amongst research and teaching institutions, as well as improve on the level of agricultural mechanization.
It also gives adequate attention to fisheries, value chain, particularly the artisanal fisheries, with the aim of reducing the import to meet domestic consumption.
It is observed that the policy strategies have been redefined to also focus on the establishment of cottage industries and agro-processing zones for priority commodities.
Will take into consideration the National Agricultural Technology Innovation Policy focus designed to revamp and revolutionize Nigerian agriculture through injection of knowledge, technology, and innovation.
Agriculture takes place in the states naturally, and obviously the policy needs the buy-in of the states to be fully adopted, and we sincerely hope that the views and suggestions by the various stakeholders will be incorporated in the emerging policy.
In the meantime, the National Biosafety Management Agency says it's keeping a guard against any form of introduction or importation of any kind of genetically modified crops without permission. The Director General of the agency said the federal government has so far approved the commercialization of genetically modified maize and beans.
The approval of genetically modified maize known as stellar maize. This maize has the genes that are for drought tolerance and for insect resistance.
Production, processing, and marketing of any kind of genetic materials is prohibited without approval from the National Biosafety Management Agency. Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
And in Kano, the state government will demarcate about 2,000 kilometers of stock routes as part of measures to address conflicts between farmers and pastoralists. Already, the committee has been constituted to carry out the task and is in consultation with stakeholders, including traditional rulers, to ensure timely and successful execution. Abdullahi Mustafa has details.
Stock routes is a designated passage for livestock to access pasture, water points and other places including markets and vaccination centers. Unfortunately, however, many of such routes are being encroached or taken over by farmlands or infrastructure. These are partly blamed for conflict between farmers and herders. Through the Kano State Agro-Pastoral Development Project, plans are on to demarcate, gazette and monument 1,950 kilometers of stock route to address this major concern.
1,450 are major stock routes in the state, while the remaining 500 are minor stock routes. Each and every local government in the state will have their own committees, and these committees, they will serve as an avenue where they will be resolving issues and other crises of the stock routes.
The stock route demarcation committee constituted by the state government was at the palace of the Emir of Bichi, Surado Bayero, as part of consultations with stakeholders. The royal father assured of support and cooperation of the traditional institution in view of the strategic importance of the initiative. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Talking security now, Zamfara State Commander of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps has arrested some suspected notorious bandits who have been in the watch list of the security agencies. The suspects were intercepted at some motor parks in Gusau, the state capital. Jamilu Ibrahim has more.
The ongoing fight against criminal activities in Zamfara State has continued to force many bandits to either lay down their weapons or leave the state. A 27-year-old Tukur Halilu, who was said to be on his way to Niger State, and one Hussein Altini that also wanted to sneak out, along with his elder brother Abubakar Altini and their aged mother to Taraba State, were intercepted by the operatives of Zamfara State Command of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. The suspects, who confessed to the crimes, said they had participated in different operations in Gusau, Bungudu and Kaurnamudo local government areas of the state. The NSCDC Public Relations Officer Zamfara State Command Uche Iko, who paraded the suspects, said they were arrested at Lalan and Zamfara State Mass Transit Parks in Gusau. Following an intelligence report, he assured that the suspect will be arraigned before the court as soon as necessary investigations are completed.
He confessed that he has participated in several banditry activities. He had attacked several villages. According to him, he said what he benefits mostly from it is 10,000 and above. Each operation he goes, they will give him 10,000 or something similar to that.
Exhibits recovered from the suspects include narcotics and some local charms. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
Elsewhere, the Police Command Secondary School, Mbag Obioitam in Akwa Ibom State is ready for academic activities. And Sikak Okon reports that the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Ita Enang, made this known when he inspected the school to ascertain the level of job done.
In the spirit of Yuletide, Senator Ita Enang, after celebrating an annual event in his hometown, Ididep, to appreciate God's faithfulness, inspected some federal government projects in Ibionibom local government area of Akwa Ibom State. Among the projects inspected is the Police Command Secondary School. The senator, while going around the project site, expressed satisfaction at the level of job done, which he says has reached 90% completion for the resumption of academic activities.
What we need now is for the authorities to accept that they can even start an emergency, because we need facilities like this, and we cannot just vacate this facility on like that. It is waiting for next academic session while nothing is happening now.
The senator also inspected the ongoing construction of the Youth Development Center at Presbyterian Senior Science School at Ididep and acknowledged the support he has received by Ididep community.
This is given to us by His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. His Excellency President Buhari says politics is over, election is over, it is now governance. So he's given Akwa Ibom the greatest opportunities, and this is one of the things he's doing through the Ministry of Youth Development.
It is the hope of the people that the school will attract more progress and development to the area when academic activities resume, while commending the federal government for the establishment of federal government projects in the area. Nsika Okon, NTA News.
And from Akwa Ibom, we head to Lagos, where Adiola is standing by with more news. Adiola, it's over to you.
Thank you, Iere. Efforts by the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, led by Abike Dabiri Erewa, to secure the release of Itunu Babalola before her untimely death have been commended by father of the deceased, who also rejected the autopsy report sent to him.
The autopsy that they brought it in French, and I take it to where to translate it into English. The translation that they gave me, I'm not satisfied with it.
Sepsis, complicated by acute respiratory distress, was the outcome of the autopsy carried out on late Itunu Babalola by the government of Côte d'Ivoire.
I rejected the autopsy that they brought for my daughter. I saw it to a doctor. The doctor said, what they said that kill her is not something that they can happen to her one day and kill her second day.
Chairman Nigerians in Diaspora Commission Abike Dabiri Erewa also faulted the autopsy report.
This autopsy, even to me, doesn't appear acceptable. What is sepsis complicated by acute respiratory distress? How did it happen when she had nothing like that before? But like I said, I'm not a doctor.
She went further to say that Nigerian government will not let the issue slide, as there are pertinent questions that needs to be answered by the Ivorian government, especially the DPO in the incident.
And then, although Itunu has been buried, I don't know whether much more can be done in terms of, finding out more about how she died, but I'm sure the Minister of Foreign Affairs will take the next necessary steps to demand from Côte d'Ivoire a lot more information that they have given.
The NIDCAM boss later presented a token to Mr. Emmanuel Babalola on behalf of the commission, while praying God to grant the family the fortitude to bear the loss. In Lagos, Amaka O, NT News.
Appropriate sections of the law will be applied to anyone caught in the act of misdeeds in an effort to sabotage efforts by the federal government to create unnecessary apprehension. Acting Customs Area Controller, Western Marine Command, Enoche Ochiba stated this while reading out a number of seizures that the command recorded in 2021. Habolade Salami reports.
These 865 plastic containers are not on display for sale, but items seized from smugglers at Ashikpa Beach along semi-coastal border area. The 25 liters each product, with a total of 21,625 liters valued at 3.6 million naira, was intercepted by officers and men of the Coastal and Harbour Patrol team on credible intelligence.
The government is doing all it can to make us comfortable. But there are a group of people called smugglers that are denying us of this thing. That is why we are saddled with the responsibility of getting these things, curbing it.
As the watchdog of the Western Marine Corridor against all forms of smuggling activities, the command in the course of the year had seized various items, including hard drugs, imported rice, second-hand clothing, and PMS, with a duty-paid value of 2.2 billion naira, as against the 1.1 billion naira made in 2020.
These records are a strong indication that the operatives of the command are working tirelessly to combat smuggling on the waterways. The record of seizure for the year 2021 is the total seizures from 2017 to 2020 for the command. Those smugglers were aware of your plans during this period.
With the high morale of officers and men of the command, anti-smuggling war during and after the Yuletide season, the acting Customs Area Controller say will take a new dimension. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Those are stories from the Zone. We'll take another break. The news will continue when we return to stay.
Hello guys, my name is Kate from Retrospective. And you can see I just want a brand new Cyril car from Kano.
Big car. Yeah. No big car, this one is big car.
This is a brand new car, so I'm just too excited. In fact, I'm on top of the world as I'm speaking to you right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Glo. Thank you for rewarding me. Thank you for changing my life today.
I'm in my house. I'm here in my house. I want to serve the class to you. Thank you so much.
Glo. Ilé-iṣẹ́ wọn ò ní jóná. Àtàwọn tó ní àtàwọn òṣìṣẹ́ tí wọ́n kó mọ́ra gbogbo wọn pátá látòkè délẹ̀. Wọn à ní sunkún. Thank you. The latest car owner in town. From Uyo, party of clothes, buy unlimited.
Recharge up to 500 naira during the week to qualify. Dial *611# now to enter the Glow Joy Unlimited Extravaganza.
I miss them.
Well, they should be on their way by now.
Will it feel like it used to? With everyone so busy these days.
It will be fine.
Suddenly, feels like I'm gonna fall. I can see all of my dreams so perfectly.
Oh, yeah, line up. Single file.
Love's not a dream at all. Somebody.
Grandpa, what was Grandma like?
She always found ways to bring us all together. It took me a while to discover how she does it.
Devon King's taste that brings us all together.
Capri Sun Funland. Can't wait. Hey!
Entry denied. No artificial colors, no artificial sweeteners, no preservatives. Nothing artificial.
Next up, the water slide.
Nothing artificial and great taste. Capri Sun, the taste of fun. Capri Sun, a product of Cheer Limited.
Dear friend, as 2021 ends, we share your gratitude for its blessings. We acknowledge your low moments too and wish you strength to carry through. At Bedmate, we'll keep making your living better because we believe that furniture is not just an item made of wood, glass, marble, or steel, but a symbol of your unity and good times with your loved ones. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year full of all the finest things you desire.
My schedule can be tight most days, and because I'm always on the go, I need a quick snack or drink to keep me going. And that's why I love my Hollandia yogurt. Every day I choose Hollandia yogurt because it contains protein, calcium, vitamin A, B vitamins, and vitamin H, which my body needs. Hollandia yogurt comes in 2 variants, plain sweetened and strawberry. Wholesome nourishment from your favorite brand.
Introducing the one gift for all this festive, GoTV Super. Enjoy more channels, more variety, more entertainment on GoTV Super. GoTV, love it.
Glad to have you back. Now time to talk business with Benny Adams. Benny.
Thank you, Inyere, and welcome to Business. We start by telling you that the federal government has assured of adequate investment in ICT to ensure that by 2025, critical digitization challenges are addressed to allow for achievement of its job creation and economic productivity potential. And to achieve this, the federal government in the National Development Plan 2021 to 2025 has projected investment worth more than 150 billion naira. The amount will be spread across priority projects in the sector. In addition, the government says the ICT sector is projected to facilitate the formation of up to $1 billion in private equity and private capital investment in digital infrastructure of approximately $40 billion. The document noted that despite recent improvements in Nigeria's ICT sector, several challenges including low funding and weak digital infrastructure, especially in non-commercial hubs, have limited the value creation potential of businesses. And the implementation of Executive Order 5 and the promotion of policies and programs that enhance local content development have been described as part of solution to the global supply disruptions being experienced as a result of COVID-19.
Like in procurement, you have an alternative product that you can use that is a supplement or a representation of what you normally import. So like the government did say, produce what you know you eat and eat what you produce. And the moment you are doing that, you are giving room for the MSME.
And taking a look at the global oil energy markets, the oil prices extended gains on Tuesday with prices trading near the previous day's one-month high on hopes that the Omicron variant will have a limited impact on fuel demand. Brent crude rose $1.13 to $79.73 per barrel. US West Texas Intermediate crude rose $1.24 to $76.80 a barrel, gaining for a fifth straight session. That is business news, but network news continues with Zenret in Jos. Zenret, take it from here.
Thank you, Benny. Welcome to Jos. Jos University Teaching Hospital JUTH has received a boost in infrastructure development with the handover and inauguration of its newly completed amenity complex. The new facility will also improve effectiveness and efficiency of healthcare delivery. The report. The idea to build an amenity complex is due to the growing need of patients and the hospital's desire to deliver professional and holistic care. The construction of the 32 rooms edifice began in 2018.
Each time they will ask, is there no amenity wing? So we deem it fit that we must bridge this gap. This is what we are presenting. When patients come here, they will always be in a 3-star hotel, but they will be receiving the best of services that Jos University Teaching Hospital offers.
The contractor gave a breakdown of the execution of the project and assures the hospital of the quality of work done.
I assure each and every one of us here that this edifice will stand the test of time.
Anglican Archbishop of Jos, Most Reverend Benjamin Kwashi, who said a special prayer for the structure, also advised the management and staff to ensure they do their best in executing their duties. Guests and staff were conducted round to take a look at the facilities. The National Social Investment Program, NSIP, says it has recorded huge success as beneficiaries generate more than 78 million naira for various businesses. The focal person in Plateau State, Dr. Sumaye Hamza, stated this while reviewing activities in 2021. Felicia Dali of Samaila has details.
Established by the federal government in 2016 to tackle issues of poverty and hunger across the country, the National Social Investment Program focuses on ensuring equitable distribution of resources to vulnerable groups, which include women, children, and youths. The program will assist them in acquiring and developing lifelong skills towards nation building. The focal person says it has achieved success in 2021 with an increased number of 74,377 beneficiaries under the conditional cash transfer component.
This category of people who are put into clusters, they have a savings collectively domiciled in different banks in Plateau State.
The National Homegrown Feeding Program is another aspect of NSIP that has not only tackled hunger, but has also created employment for many.
It's really wonderful. We are learning seriously. We are learning new things that we've never come across.
I'm counting this as an opportunity which has come my way to learn something that could change my economic status.
The N-Power component exited 11,352 trainees in the year under review, with 13,810 currently undergoing training. In Jos, Felicia Daliop Samaila, NTA News.
And that's it from Jos. The news continues after this break.
2021 in retrospect and projections for 2022. That is our focus on NTA Tuesday Live. Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. It promises to be educative and incisive. Join us.
African Cup of Nations starts on the 9th of January 2022 on NTA, powered by Afrosports. For sponsorship and advertisements, contact us on 090-9890-6913 or 090-3513-2838.
Me and you, let's get to Ghana. Hey! Go and jump.
This is Ghana. You've come here to seek for greener pastures. Make it your worthwhile.
Any guinea fowl is a guinea. Guinea fowl has nothing to do with guinea. It's just the name of the fowl. So Ghana jollof, what is it? Is it Nigerian beans?
What?
Have you made before?
No.
Jasper! Help me!
Let's have a bit of sports now with Olumide Ekuntola.
Ahead of the 2022 Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon, the Super Eagles of Nigeria camp opens Wednesday in Abuja, with invited players expected to report for training sessions. Meanwhile, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, has approved the use of video assistant referee at the 2022 AFCON in Cameroon. CAF made use of the VAR for the first time at an international tournament at the 2019 AFCON held in Egypt, but only at the knockout stage. But it will be used in all the 52 matches of the 2022 AFCON. In another development, the draws for the group stage of the 2021-2022 CAF Champions League held in Cairo, Egypt Tuesday indicate that Al Ali, Mamelodi Sundowns, Al Hilal and Al Merrikh are drawn in Group A. Raja Casablanca, Oroya FC, ES Setiv and Amazulu FC are in Group B. Group C pitched ES Esperance, ESS FC, Belouizdad and Galaxy FC together. In Group D are Wydad, Zamalek, Atletico Petroleos and GD Zagrada football clubs. Matches are slated to commence on the 11th of February 2022. In the Nigerian Professional Football League, table toppers Remo Stars will have another opportunity to hold on to the first position when the team hosts Nasarawa United in match day 3 of the league scheduled for Wednesday. Enyimba will hope to continue its impressive runs with a date with Rivers United as Katsina United host Kano Pillars, among other matches. In the English Premier League, Cavani came off the bench to rescue Manchester United from defeat Monday night in a match that ended 1 apiece with Newcastle United. Some results of matches played Tuesday are a 3-0 defeat of Norwich City by Crystal Palace. West Ham United recorded a 4-1 away win at the expense of Watford as Southampton and Tottenham Hotspur ended their affairs 1 apiece. And on a sad note, Algerian footballer Sofiane Luka passed away during a second-tier league match between Malouda and ESM Oran on Monday. The player collapsed during the game, but all efforts to save him failed. With sports update, Olumide Ekuntola, NTA News.
The death has occurred of Nelma Lady Rosita Onyamaoge Duru, JP, née Agu, after a brief illness. She was aged 79. Burial arrangements from her family indicate that Nelma Duru, until her death, was a retired headmistress, special class, a devout Catholic who attended the 4th degree in the revered Order of the Knights of St. Mulumba. She was a passionate leader fostering the well-being of children, youths and the aged, as well as peaceful coexistence of Nigerians across ethnic and religious lines. She'll be buried in her home in Umezala Ama, Ehimembano, Imo State, after a requiem mass at St. Paul's Catholic Church, Umezala Ama, at 11 o'clock in the morning. And that concludes NTA Network News tonight. Many thanks for watching. Please remember to speak up, take action, and let's put an end to rape. I'm Yen Wei John. Have a good night.
This vaccine is safe and it has been certified safe and usable by NAFTA.
It's all in the air and it's all in my heart. The feeling of anticipation. Let the songs and cheering out everywhere in celebration.
Some go there fry chin, some go there fry meat, some go there cook jollof. Me, I go shop potato with decorations everywhere, making it very clear.
It's the season and a reason. Turn your frown upside down. It's the season and a reason to spread love and joy all around. And a happy new year. 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 It's the season and a reason. Turn your frown upside down. It's the season and a reason to spread love and joy all around. And a happy new year. And a happy new year. And a happy new year.
Compliments of the season. A very Merry Christmas and a most glorious New Year from all of us in NTA.
This is the network service of the NTA.
The ever-busy ancient city of Onitsha is a commercial hub with millions of commuters seamlessly linking other states daily for business, leisure, and other purposes. To upscale its road network, the construction of a 1.6-kilometer long second Niger bridge, including a 10.3-kilometer highway furnished with other infrastructure, has been in motion by the federal government. This project will ease congestion on the existing 56-year-old Onitsha bridge and boost the economic capacity of the state as it easily connects to other parts of the country. The completion of the world-class second Niger Bridge Onitsha will be one of the many proud moments of the state, its people, Nigerians, and foreign investors. Onitsha, which hosts the largest market in Africa, is geared up to boast of an impressive road network. Once again, these moments are made alive by the federal government, and it is deserving of all the applause.
Candidates who are interested in gaining admission into NTA TV College, JOS, for the 2021-2022 two-year National Innovation Diploma Program are to apply for admission through the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB. Courses available for application include film and television production, broadcast journalism, and television engineering technology. Such candidates must have a minimum of 5 O-level credits in relevant subjects, including English language and mathematics. For inquiries, please call 0803-079-5335 or 0806-980-9807. Management Announcer.
The 2022 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration is here again. The Nigeria Armed Forces work tirelessly day and night to give us peace to go about our businesses. Some have paid the supreme price. Should we forget the families and loved ones they left behind? No.
I am therefore privileged to honor these veterans who devoted most of their lives, active lives, to securing the nation and the world at large.
So, let's support the Nigerian Armed Forces and their families, corporate organizations, government agencies, parastatals, and individuals. Let's show our love and support for our armed forces. They are our heroes. Buy the Armed Forces Remembrance Emblem and donate into the Armed Forces Remembrance Emblem Appeal account. We love you, and your labor and sacrifice will not be in vain for spilling your blood for us to live.
We have come to the end of another successful year. We wish to appreciate all those who mean so much to us. Our clients, the 3 tiers of government, ministries, departments, and agencies, corporate bodies, advertisers, religious bodies, civil society groups, political parties. You are esteemed viewers. Together, we made 2021 great. Together, we shall make 2022 greater. Thank you. Wishing you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year from all of us at NTA.
Compliments of the season to you. Great to have you join us on this edition of Deadline 360. On the program today, we will celebrate some of the distinctive features of a season the Nigerian way. Before the outbreak of COVID-19, Christmas was one of the biggest festive events in the country and indeed across the world. since it also signals the start of a new year. With the new normal, however, celebrations have tilted a bit in some circles and radically with others. Let's begin this package by looking at Victor's highlight of the significance of Christmas.
Christmas is celebrated on December 25th to commemorate the birth of Jesus Christ, who Christians believe is the Son of God. These days, however, Christmas is celebrated by people all around the world, whether they are Christians or not. It's a time when family and friends come together and remember the good things they have. People, and especially children, also like Christmas, as it's a time to give and receive gifts, perhaps because of its proximity to the new year.
It's a time to reach out, to show affection and love to those who are less fortunate than us.
It's also an avenue for everybody to have what we call assessment of performance of what we have done over these years and to set the goal and target for us and the forthcoming year.
Some other people choose the occasion to visit family and friends, while others decide to visit recreational facilities, beautifully dressed. Christmas decorations also adorn homes, offices, and streets within the period. For Christians, it is usually a day of worship, Sunday or not, but beyond all of these, what is the significance of Christmas?
Whenever we are celebrating Christmas, we are celebrating the joy that is abundant joy, the kind of joy that the world cannot give.
If you truly are celebrating the one who has come to save us from our sin, you shouldn't go into activities that are sinful.
The beginning of celebration of Christmas is Jesus in your heart. So every other thing is an addition. Whatever little you have, use it judiciously.
Whichever way you choose to celebrate, the clerics advise that the reason for the season is not lost on the people. Jesus, whose compassion, love, and peaceful nature should inspire a change in attitude.
Today should be a day that we should have sober reflection, show mercy, help others, and in fact, pray for those that are in need, and also stretch our hands, just as God has remembered and blessed us and give us his own Son. Let us also minister to the needs of those around us.
The Christmas period should be a period that is characterized by some kind of good acts, love, and every kind of virtue you think of.
Jesus Christ reached out to us. So in rejoicing, we reach out to those who are less privileged and really care for them.
These should be the guiding principles at Christmas. In Abuja, Victor Azu.
Thanks, Victor, for that piece. Besides what we know as the reason for the season, there are also some attachments to the season. Topmost is the need to show love and share to make the season merry for one and all. Tessie Mary in this next piece takes a look at hampers and the importance of giving at the season.
Christmas means different things to different people. For some, it is a time where families' bond is strengthened through exchange of visits and gifts called hamper. It is indeed a common sight at this period to see beautifully packaged gift items exchanging hands from individuals to organizations. What really is its significance? Well, clergymen share their views.
We have done, we continue doing it. Even to our workers, we communicate. Less privileged, widows, we communicate. When you give, you'll be given to. Giving open door. It's a sacrifice that open door.
God first demonstrated his gift to us by giving us Jesus Christ for salvation. And so I think that at Christmas, we are also supposed to demonstrate that gift, that gesture.
This concept, first introduced to England in the 11th century, was originally for charity to poor families who were in need of food and clothing. But this is not the case in the 21st century.
Be you a Christian, be you a Muslim or any other religion, we should cultivate the habit of giving.
According to the clergy, since Jesus Christ himself, the reason for the season is a gift to mankind, It behoves on all to give gifts all year round, especially this season, as it is better to give than to receive. Tessie Omeri.
Another trend that comes with the Yuletide in Nigeria, as it is across the world, is decorations as seen in lights, trees and tinsels. Annie Daniels now brings us some Christmas glitz from Lagos.
Christmas trees like this one is used to connote the presence of Christmas, that is to celebrate Christmas. So I ask, how many people or Nigerians know the origin and the essence of these trees, and must we have them only during Christmas? I was shocked to know that none of my respondents knew the origin of Christmas trees except for aesthetics. Lighting of Christmas trees and decorations like these ones have remained a yearly ritual. They herald the presence of Christmas, celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ. This is a very popular roundabout in Lagos. The area plays host to people from far and near, just to feed their eyes with these decorations.
I always look forward that this particular place, I'm going to come here with my kids. So it's always in the calendar for me.
I never see this type of things in India, but this second time I'm coming here. So for this light specifically, we came from Ikeja.
I like the lights. There are castles we never seen. There have flags. I feel I am in the space.
It's a very pleasant experience for us. Yes, we like more a lot.
Santa is riding in the boat. Santa is catching a big fish. Santa is everywhere.
This is one space where creativity and colors meet to offer visitors value for time.
When I come here, the lights give me joy and
It's really beautiful because red is my favorite color.
This place is so beautiful. It reminds me of Christ.
The season of love, sharing, caring.
So Lagos, Nigeria, we're happy. We're happy to see this. It's looking like there's no Christmas this year, but I'm overwhelmed. I love it.
Are you still doubting that Lagos is Nigeria's center of excellence? Not at all. This is Echo for show. For Deadline 360, I am Annie Daniels.
Beautiful sights to behold, you will agree. Utibe Achibong in Uyo also shares the beauty of the capital of Akwa Ibom State, as she reports that the city is witnessing an influx of holiday makers.
Over the years, Christmas celebrations have been marked with pomp and loads of festivities to keep Christians and non-Christians alike to get a feel of the annual Christian ritual. Uyo, Akwa Ibom State is not an exception, as the city at night is literally a spectacle, wearing a new look and depicting the season. These decorations, occasioned by the season, have afforded family members, lovers, and people from all walks of life the opportunity to relax. The city affords Christmas fun seekers with a choice, as the Christmas village provides another ambience that makes Christmas in Uyo a preferred destination.
I think one of the most retouches as it appears in southern Nigeria is in Akwa Ibom State, quite frankly. I'm not being partial because I'm from here. I'm telling you because every southern state I've ever visited during the festive period, this is often the most beautiful one.
This place is one of those places in Akwa Ibom that at the points like this, the governor of the states will decorate it so that people can come out and enjoy themselves.
As the Yuletide brings with it joy, peace and unity, residents of Uyo do not seem to hold back from moments associated with the season.
I'm so happy to see how Christmas with my friend, play with my friend. I can enjoy anyhow. Everywhere is just looking very beautiful. It's shining everywhere because if they did not decorate this place, nobody would have come here. But see children, so much children and parents, they are here to play, they are here to enjoy themselves.
I would like to say to the government that this is a very good look for the state,
and even to guests who will come into Akwa Ibom to see this, they know that yes, we are really very prepared for the Christmas.
So I want to thank our governor. He's trying way for us to make this place to be comfortable for us, to bring our children to come and stay here to collect fresh air.
For Dateline 360, I am Utube Achibong.
So how did the celebration go elsewhere? Let's start from Abeokuta, where Yemedalemo reports that family members are unwinding at recreation centers.
Christmas period to many gives opportunity to celebrate with loved ones, while parents also see the need to have a nice time with their children and other family members. And so fun seekers like Oluwabukola Kajero says it is a joyous moment for her and her family, appreciating God for witnessing another Christmas despite the economic situation in the country, which restricted some people from coming out to celebrate.
Let's thank God for life, for giving us a life to see this Xmas.
Children were also not left out as they thronged some recreational centers in the metropolis to celebrate with their friends.
I feel excited because it's not every time I come here. So I finally have the chance to come here like on Christmas. So I really feel excited.
Elsewhere in the state capital, essential workers whose schedule of duty preclude them from celebrating with their family members say they are happy to be at their duty post to serve the people for them to enjoy their holidays.
We cannot keep the public in the dark regarding news everywhere. They must know what is going on around them. And for them to do that, we can't sit at home. We just have to be at work.
I must be here once I'm on duty to come and do my obligation and my responsibility.
It doesn't mean we don't enjoy it. We enjoy our holidays at work. Just because we enjoy doing what we are doing.
Aside this, driving around the metropolis show a relatively light traffic when compared to normal duty, as residents are seen in the mood of festivity, sharing the season with family members and loved ones. In Abeokuta, Yemi Dalemo for Dateline 360.
And the culture of caring and sharing in the season was displayed in Birnin Kebbi, where Ibrahim Dan Hamidu reports that Muslims identified with Christians to celebrate the unity of Nigeria.
December 25th every year is sacred to Christians in the world. It is the day marked the birth of Jesus Christ. Core values in faith is rejuvenated and Christians are steadfast with the belief that God supersedes everything human beings go through in life and are not left alone. Gratitude and praises for the year 2021 as it draws to an end ushered hope to the new year ahead. Christians who celebrate the Christmas in Kebbi expressed happiness and advocated more love and support toward one another despite trying times.
So I'm very, very elated to witness another Christmas once again.
And I hope Christmas will be celebrated every day because people seem to be happy, whether there is or there is not. People they are just celebrating, they are sharing love with one another.
Christians commended the peace in Kebbi State and prayed God for more blessings as they enjoy the festive period.
We're in sound health and we're in sound mind.
Essence of showing love.
Resident Pastor, Living Faith Church Badaria, Freeman Anzaku urged Christians to maintain faith this Christmas and beyond.
We have accepted as a church to mark the very gift of Christ, the fact that he was born and sent to humanity, as is indicated in the Bible.
Security personnel were stationed at church as well as patrols in the state capital to ensure a hitch-free festive celebration.
Despite the economic challenges in the state, this year's Christmas was colorful and exciting. Some organizations and individuals devoid of religious leanings also distributed foodstuff to the Christian community in Kebbi, a gesture that has definitely impacted to the joyous Christmas celebration in the state. One of such is the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, who was represented at the occasion.
The essence of the two foundations and other foundations established by the Honorable Minister of Justice was to ensure that we have a situation in Kebbi State where all of us will relate, where all of us will be treated, where all of us will be accepted as one big happy family.
The Kebbi State Chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Ayuba Kanta, expressed joy over the sincere act of brotherliness exhibited by the Muslim community in Kebbi State.
You have identified with the Christian community in their season of rejoicing, and I want to let you know that this will not go without the blessings of God.
In Birnin Kebbi, Ibrahim Ahmedu.
Now, Christmas celebration in the Southeast is known to attract great attention, a period of homecoming which also showcases cultural events. Chuma Nwankere reports on the season and the joy it brings for indigents of Imo State.
Christmas celebration in the Southeast region is usually special as it comes with increased activities and visits by indigents resident across other states in Nigeria and those outside the country. It is usually a period of reunion when serious engagements like meetings and fundraising ceremonies are fixed in many communities in anticipation of homecoming of their prominent and affluent sons and daughters. Cultural displays also dominate the season, and this to a large extent creates a feeling of expectation as most people look forward to it, especially the rural dwellers.
We'll buy ogele, we'll buy epo, we'll buy all these things, and we'll use our money. Never encourage us, in Christmas time. It's a communal thing. Each kindred will want to, or even a family, like my family. In those days, my elder brother will buy mom. I will buy ogele. Charlie Amade will buy some other things, some other costume, everything. We started playing around the whole community. Not that we're playing it because we need money. It's just for fun. When we see rice, we will eat. When we see the bigger man, we will disappear from the scene and remove our elbow.
Christmas is a time most children like to visit the villages.
These, however, have been affected in the past 1 year owing to outbreak of COVID-19, which necessitated measures that have reduced the excitement which usually trails the Christmas celebration. A visit to Afo community in Owerri West local government area of Imo State shows that the frenzy which goes with the period is gradually depreciating. This the people attribute to prevailing security situation.
Before, people that be celebrating Christmas, you see small children wear small wrapper dance, but this time around, no strength.
Everywhere is so dry and people are not marrying, no excitement anywhere. It's because of the national cash crunch, hunger everywhere.
Masquerade and mango stuff is because of the coronavirus pandemic. Because in insecurity, we are not sure of our life in the next minute.
For Eze Michael Okere, it was not just a period of merriment, but also a period of discovery of talents when young business-oriented children are spotted and launched into what the Igbos call Igba Boy. Some motor parks and recreation parks visited had scanty patronage, but that has not taken away the feelings and real essence of Christmas. Avu community and what we saw there were no masquerades, no young girls dancing. This is what is happening in most communities in Imo State. The situation on ground now is Christmas is celebrated on the market days of most of these communities. They don't actually celebrate Christmas on that particular day. That was why we did not see masquerades in Avu. Chuma Nwankere.
Indeed, Christmas celebration is quite eventful in the southeastern part of the country and comes with mixed feelings, especially the term Onwa December. Comfort Ayim reports that to the Igbos and Christians, December is unique and Onwa December na Orogokwa, meaning December is here, again is beyond the literal denotation. As she helps us understand the concept better, she also brings deep lessons on the concept in the Southeast.
Formed from the Latin root Decem, December is the month that brings Christmas home, and Christmas brings families and loved ones together, no matter the distance. This translates to why, even if you are one of those who do not celebrate Christmas, no one is immune to the infectious positive vibes.
It comes once in a year. Somebody who is planning to travel home with the family to spend the Christmas with the extended family members should start from January to plan for the family to travel at the end of the year.
Due to the euphoria as the last month of the year, many embrace onward December with high expectations to meet up with their target. For traders in the southeast, it is time to increase prices of goods, especially food items, livestock, and other essential commodities as witnessed in the east each year. The roads getting busier, transportation fare increases, people get stuck on roads, volume of socio-economic activities in top gear. Social gathering also takes another dimension.
If you allow the time, within the time frame, just a period of 2 weeks or 3 weeks to put you into trouble, that's your own business.
As a result of the onward December rush, immoralities abound during this period in quest for elaborate preparation. Some people go the extra mile in quest for get-rich-quick syndrome, and to them, life has no value without money.
At a time, a man looks away. A man looks away and the daughter comes back with a car, and he didn't ask the daughter, what are you doing? Who gave you a car? The son comes back with a car. How did you get it? No. Rather, the man turns and carries drink and begin to celebrate that the child bought a car. And nobody now asks the child, what are you doing? A girl can visit the parents and going home, give them 100,000 naira. And the parents will not ask, what are you doing in the city?
In all this, what are the lessons to learn and best approach to the onward December? And the residents in the East say the message is very clear. Christmas is not only about Christ's history and the story or about the baby Jesus, but about giving, touching lives and showing love to one another in spite of religious belief.
And Jesus, when he was completing his ministry, said that when I return, I will not judge you by your title. I will not judge you by the size of cathedral that you built. I will not judge you by or the messages that you preach as a pastor. I will judge you simply by asking, did you go to the hospital to see those who couldn't afford to pay hospital bill? Did you go to the poor? Did you give them food? Those whose clothes are torn, did you give them? The people that are hungry, did you provide any food?
That is returning back to God in spirit and in truth.
As the month is gradually winding down, residents of the Southeast maintained that there is need for stock-taking, minimize show of financial strength to avoid debt, especially to the Southeasterners who perceive the month of January as the longest. In Enugu, Comfort Ayim for Deadline 360.
And as we continue in the spirit of the Yuletide, it is necessary to be modest in all ways. And remember that there is joy in making others happy. Thanks for spending your time with us. God bless Nigeria.
and welcome. This is NTA Tuesday Live, and I'm Cyril Stober. Nigeria came under several sectorial pressures in the year 2021. First was the carryover of the 2019-2020 COVID-19 impact. Then came the economic recession, which was surmounted, and the continued battle against insecurity occasioned by the activities of insurgents and bandits ravaging parts of the northeast and northwest regions of the country, while the southeast and southwest experienced violent attacks against federal agencies and assassinations carried out by outlawed groups. And all these trials came within the year under review. Yet, Nigeria still stands. Tonight, NTA Tuesday Live will focus on 2021 in retrospect and the projections into 2022. But before we go into the discussion, let's get to see this report by Adebola Brookslyn.
Nigerians, like in many other countries, entered 2021 after surviving a year of an unusual health challenge occasioned by COVID-19 pandemic that is still posing threats to the world with different variants despite the discovery of vaccines. Leading by example, President Buhari received the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine out of the 3.2 million doses provided under the United Nations COVAX program. Other members of the Federal Executive Council followed, and Nigerians in general.
Vaccine offers hope for a safe country.
In January 2021, President Muhammadu Buhari made top military shake-up.
We're mindful of the demands, and we can only at this stage pledge to do the utmost best.
The year under review witnessed scores of kidnapping in parts of the country. It was a dark time for the nation's security architecture when Nigeria's Army Chief, Atahiru, and 11 other top military officials died in a plane crash. Year 2021 witnessed 15 jailbreaks. Over 5,000 inmates were freed in some major correctional centers across the country. From Lagos to Benin, Osogbo to Jos, Delta, Kano, Bauchi, Kogi, and Oyo states were also affected. Out of these, 8 were successful. For the development of the oil and gas sector, President Buhari signed the Petroleum Industry Act into law in the month of August for the better deregulation of the sector. And on the economic front, President Buhari signed the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework, MTEF.
That is it.
The Central Bank of Nigeria launched e-Naira, the country's digital currency, and the country's GDP also increased while there was a fall in the inflation rates.
Today, I am mindful that more still needs to be done.
While Nigerian Akinwumi Adesina was elected as the president of the African Development Bank for the second term in office.
So decided.
Another major event was the commitment made by President Buhari at the World Leaders Summit of the United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP26 in Glasgow, where Nigeria promised to cut its carbon emission to net zero by 2060.
We must create inclusive and gender-sensitive policies that address all issues connected to climate action for mitigation.
The year witnessed some building collapse in Lagos, among which was a 21-story building under construction, which claimed several lives. The presentation of the amended Electoral Act to President Buhari and the defection of politicians from one party to another in preparation for 2023 elections, as well as Anambra governorship election, were the political events witnessed in 2021. Adebola Brookslyn.
All right, that report sets the tone for tonight's discussion. Let's start off by introducing our guests. We'd like to welcome to this program Major General Garba Wahab. He's Director General of the Army Resource Center, Abuja. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me.
Okay, we're also joined tonight by Ajuri Ngelale, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs. Ajuri, it's good to see you.
Privilege to be with you, Cyril. Thank you very much.
And we're also joined tonight by Professor Ken Ife, a development economist. Prof, thanks for joining us tonight.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And also joining us tonight from our Kaduna Network Center is Professor Kabir Matu, a political scientist and public affairs commentator. Prof, good to see you.
Cyril, compliments of the season.
Well, as we always do, every Tuesday, we acquaint you with the procedures of this program. At the appropriate time, you can get to be part of the discussion in the studio. We'll remind you when the time comes. And let's just quickly say here that when that time comes, do us a favor, remember to turn down the volume of your TV set so we can avoid the hurlback and the echo. And we always encourage people to go straight to the point. But that's when the lines will be open and when you can get to be part of the discussion. But for now, let's start off. As so much happened, and 2021 is just about rounding off now, and we're looking at the many issues of the year 2021, from the economy to security and so many others. But it would seem as if security was one dominant factor throughout the year 2021. So let's begin to look at these issues that took center stage. And General Wahab, from the point of view of many Nigerians, it would seem that the most talked about issue was security to lives and property. Yeah. How do you rate 2021?
Thank you very much. 2021 is tough, not only for Nigeria, but for the entire world. Because we are within ours, we look at it as if we are the only one facing it. But unfortunately, the management is what matters. We've not been able to manage it very well. The management could be notched a little bit up. And because security is everybody's responsibility. And we used to say something in my center, we can only secure you through you. The average Nigerian must be involved in the security architecture of Nigeria. But the tendency is to leave it to only the security agencies, the military and the other agencies. It is not. And a lot of meetings, a lot of conferences, a lot of seminars have been held. But the most important thing is, yes, we realize there's a problem. And that's the starting point. If people say there are no problems, then a lot of people will have been worried. Mm-hmm. But we all agreed there are issues on security. And everybody must put their hands on deck. Because without security, there can be development. The two goes hand in hand.
All right, we'll go into greater detail as we go on. But let's come to Professor Ken Ife, the economist. And yes, the next thing we'd talk about is how was the economy in 2021? Would you have a larger number of Nigerians say, well, 2021, we can look back and say, not too bad? Or do we have people who say, look, the economy has been biting and biting? Prof, what do you say?
2021 was a year of great escape from the recession, the special type of recession caused by inflation that Nigeria entered into last year. And what is particular about this 2021 in relation to that is that we had three existential problems, challenges facing our country. One, of course, is the pervasive insecurity, which you know is asymmetric across the 6 geopolitical zones. And do nothing is not an option. Otherwise, we will be overrun like Afghanistan. We had the second one, which was COVID, that was life-threatening. And do nothing means more debt, and nobody wants that. And then, of course, there's a third one, which is the level of unemployment and associated poverty. and the government is not doing, can't accept do nothing as an option. And so the consequence of these three is that government has to look for resources, and the resources have to be found. You can't be worshiping money when you are facing existential problems. But that was how we found ourselves. The problem is not going to end, the borrowing will continue, but the thing is that all of these circumstances formed the basis for a new development plan that we've just launched. And that plan is tougher, stronger, better placed to deal with the challenges of the future than all the past plans that I have seen in living memory. So I believe we'll have more to talk about those.
So it's a mixed bag. But I'll tell you what we'll do next. Let's go over to Kaduna and talk to Professor Kabir Matu and say, on the political front, how did we fare?
Thank you very much, Cyril. I think it's a mixed grill in the sense that 2021 actually and practically is apparently the last year for this administration. We expect that by 2022 a lot of politicking will overshadow the affairs of governance because of rundown to the elections in 2023. So the political dimension here, apart from the Anambra election, we also have the permutations of the PDP by selecting their new national leadership. The national leadership has made it abundantly clear that it is ready to wrest power from the incumbents. That's a fundamental also benchmark in the year 2021. But I think the year is being capped up by the Electoral Act controversy. The Electoral Act controversy here, meaning that the National Assembly, in its desperate attempt to continue to retain their positions as members of the Senate and the House of Representatives, will try to create a lot of difficulties for the executive arm of government, especially at the level of state, to have a very serious, meaningful impact, in who goes back to Abuja into the two chambers of the two National Assembly. And that's, in my view, what informed the decision of the Senate and the House of Representatives to agree that in 2023 we shall have direct primaries embodied in the electoral laws. And I want to think that one of the greatest political moves that the President has taken was holding accent to that particular piece of legislation. And the reason is simple, because in the present circumstance, it's pretty difficult and impossible for any political party to successfully conduct free and fair, credible party primary elections. It's not cost effective, it's not politically effective, it's therefore, in my view, a desperate attempt again by the legislature in the pursuit of their personal, individual political ambitions, to dramatically bring down the right of the Nigerian people to freely select who are within their political formations to contest in an election for representation. I think also it reduces and diminishes immensely the capacity of the political parties to take decisions that suits their political configurations and peculiarities much better than this military straitjacket approach which the National Assembly desires that it be done. So I see the withholding of accent as a way of exercising the free will of the democratic cultures in order for Nigerians to be able to get to that level where we will be proud of, the kind of system, the kind of election, and the kind of governance that emerged. So I think 2021, like I said, is a watershed. In 2022, obviously, much of it is going to be politicking, especially now that the APC federal government is finishing its second and final term. The opposition party has seen a lot of, opportunities. It's usual when you sit in the opposition, as Professor Gambari will always say, The view of the road will always change as you move from the passenger seat to the driver's seat. You were driving, but now you are a passenger. So what you are seeing, obviously, is far, different from what the driver.
We will go into this in greater detail, and I'm sure we'll explore so many of the things you have contributed here in greater detail to weigh them against what the other discussants and perhaps those who join in this discussion would feel about them. But for now, let's go to Ajuri Ngelale. And, it was deliberate for us to hear the views of other discussants and then come to Ajuri, who's Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs. Now, Ajuri, 2021 can be can be described as a difficult year for this administration, can't it?
I think we're less concerned about the notion of difficulty for the administration and more concerned about the notion of difficulty for the nation, because ultimately our people elected this administration to deal with the multifarious challenges we face. The question is, are we making progress on all fronts? And I think that there is absolutely no doubt, based on empirical evidence, that indeed we are. Let me be very clear about what I mean. You've asked each of the panelists respectively about the economy, about security, and about politics. So I'm just going to touch a little bit of each before we go deeper into the program. Let's start with core politics. I don't think it's a surprise to Nigerians that we have seen over the course of the last, give or take 13 months, 3 governors of the People's Democratic Party defect to the All Progressives Congress. We have seen, against the 3 coming to APC, we have seen exactly 0 APC governors going to the People's Democratic Party. It has been a one-way traffic when it comes to high-level political defections. That is not even to start talking about what has happened in the National Assembly, where there has been more one-way traffic from the People's Democratic Party to the APC. I believe that has to do with the realization and the pragmatic calculation by many politicians in the country that the record of previous administrations simply will not be able to stand up with what President Muhammadu Buhari has been able to achieve, and certainly that will be more so by the time he finishes his 8 years in office by May 2023. That's on the political front. On the security front, we have not been fair about the fact that 2 of the major forces of security threat against our nation have been decimated and have been taken off of the field this year. Under the leadership of our Commander-in-Chief, President Muhammadu Buhari. Of course, I refer to Abubakar Shekau, who of course is no more. I refer also to Abu Musab al-Barnawi, who of course is no more. These were 2 major threats for years. They have now been decimated. That has to do with the active efforts of our gallant forces risking their lives to protect all of us every day. That is just one part of it. We have seen an unprecedented set of platforms coming into the country from the United States, from China, from Russia, from Turkey, and from many other countries that have really elevated our capacity to deal with the threats that we face. In addition to all of that, we have obviously been able to see some level of stabilization. If you refer to last year, let's say late 2020, and you recall what was going on in the Southwest, particularly with some of the clashes and some of the violent conflict that was taking place there, we have seen relative normalcy restored across the Southwest. I don't think that is detached from the current detainment of one of the leaders of a separatist movement that had been fueling some of those issues. And again, of course, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has been detained and arrested. that has been something that to quite a significant degree has led to a reduction in the kinds of violent incidences we were seeing in the southeast geopolitical zone of the nation. So that's security, and there's much more I can get into on that. Let's just quickly, very quickly look at economy, where you have the return from the recession. We had moved from negative growth to over 5% growth in 2021 as a result of the implementation of the Nigeria Economic Sustainability Plan, saving 2.4 million jobs across the nation by giving payroll support to MSMEs across the country, by constructing 500 kilometers of rural roads linking farms to markets, by putting 774,000 young people to work over a 3-month period, reconstructing roads and sanitizing local governments across the Federation. These are the measures put in place by President Muhammadu Buhari's administration across sectors to ensure that we have now stabilized and we are now in a position to build and expand the growth we've been able to record this year.
Right. So you have a long list there of so many things, and my saying that it was a tough year for the administration was mainly because some of the issues that we have looked at, you know, on the edge, were matters that were hotly debated in the public space, and particularly the question of security, where so many Nigerians felt that it would seem as if all attempts to find a lasting solution to the security threat to lives and property it's not been working so far, even though administration officials have a different view. So let me put this to General Wahab here. There's a feeling among some Nigerians that for once the Nigerian military that was seen as one of the best in the world, it would seem as if it's overwhelmed by the activities in the northeast and other parts of the country. Now you've even heard them spread out so thin that traditional duties by civil forces have also been taken over by the military.
You see, the issue here is we concentrate more on the kinetic approach to solving our problem. The military and security elements, leaving a little bit of the civil component out. Now the issue is we are attempting a whole of government, initially a whole of government approach. Now the issue is a whole of societal approach. You cannot keep on engaging the military every time, all the time, because the causes of the crisis, of the issues, must be addressed, while the military is expected to provide the enabling environment for people to discuss, for people to dialogue. Even in food war, you fight a war for politicians to go back onto the drawing table to judge or to talk among themselves. So we must find a way of getting virtually all Nigerians to be part of the security architecture. In this part of the world, if something happens, people are very reluctant in providing information, in providing intelligence. You might have the best of platforms. Yes, all the platforms are coming in. The resources are coming in. But you need intelligence, you need information, and you can only get that from the civil society, from the average Nigerian to be part of the total security architecture. And that is one thing that must be fully coordinated. It is there, but the coordination is not fully effective. If you get everybody to be a part of the architecture, it's going to be fantastic. And that's why I said the management is what matters. We are using the third-party approach, two styles of management. Everybody doing their job, everybody doing their bits. And so you don't have to call the military every time. They are not trained for policing job. They are doing policing job. There will be issues. And that's why everybody, every time, people keep on complaining about human rights issues. Because the military man is not trained fully. It is now we are looking at those things that we're training them on human rights issue. The man faces his opponent, his opposition, the adversary, and dealt with him. People will still complain. Because now what we're doing is, like Robert Smith said, we're facing Nigerians who are the targets, who are the objects and who are the opposition. So you must be very, very careful.
So it's a different ball game altogether. Now the enemy, can be described as fellow citizens,
yes,
right?
Fellow citizen. So you must be very careful in the way you deal with him. And that is one thing that the military is very, very careful about, so that the cry of, oh, you are abusing human rights does not come in. It has reduced so much because so much training is going on that.
Okay, let's get back to the economist, Professor Kenifi. The thinking is, which does more harm to the people? Yes, COVID-19 came and wreaked havoc the whole world over, and Nigeria suffered just like all other countries of the world. But then people say, well, is it the security matters that have now prevented the economy from growing the way it should grow? I mean, if you talk about food security, for instance, a whole lot of people will tell you, well, how many farmers in those affected areas can go to their farms? We've also heard reports of bandits or terrorists, as we now call them, who have prevented people from harvesting their crops or who have forced farmers to pay for them to reap their crops. So which do you face? If you can't guarantee the security of lives and property, can you really grow the economy that way?
Actually, because security is number one challenge. And this is because insecurity drives investors out of your country. It discourages investors that want to invest in your country. It also discourages the domestic investors that want to expand to other parts of the country. So insecurity is so pervasive that it does affect all facets. Now let's take the food that you mentioned. What has happened with the insecurity is that it's in the 6 geopolitical zones, and it has shrinked our agroecological footprint. It's not irretrievable because we are fighting it. We are using technology to fight it, end-to-end intervention. We're having mechanization of our agricultural system in the smaller footprint. We are also using hybrid seeds and disease resistant and high yield varieties, bringing in specialized inputs that are well designed for the particular location. So all of that, organic fertilizer, herbicides, insecticides, NPK, and all of that are all brought to bear. And even the organization of the agro-production system has actually changed to be able to reflect, heavily modernized, with 4.8 million farmers accessing resources without collateral, and then doing well over 5 million hectares. Is an incredible feat that is just a response to the security challenge. And also, you know that security is only one part of the challenge. There's a bigger challenge that our population is growing at about 3% a year, and then the urbanization is growing at 4.66%. This time, by 2030, 70% of our population will be in the urban area, leaving only 25%. So you're going to tell me who's going to grow the food when most of the farmers, the average age of the farmer is over 65 years old. So it's very, very critical that we know and recognize that what is going on now is intended to address squarely the level of the challenges that we are facing. So insecurity is number one. The impact of it on food is very important. And in fact, where you see that evidence is in inflation. If you look at inflation, the persistence of inflation, if you look at the 5 components of inflation, CPI, which is the composite price, the headline inflation, then you have the core inflation, which excludes food, and then you have the food sub-basket, you have urban and rural inflation. Now, there's a big gap that has persisted over 3 years. That gap is about 5% between the food sub-index and the core and the headline inflation. And it's about 8% to 10% between that food and the core inflation. So what then happens is that in the last 2-3 months, it has narrowed down to about less than 2% headroom, and then less than 4% between the, so it's narrowing down to less than half. Now that is what is driving the reduction in inflation. Even though the other components are still showing a rise, on a month-by-month basis, but the food is dragging the inflation down. So there's more reduction in food sub-basket than the increase in the other sub-indices. So that is what is actually going on. So, but it's good because if you look at our plan, development plan, we are projecting 10%. Even some projections from IMF and Moody's are saying 9% inflation by 2024, which will be good news because that will now come close to the target of, that's the CBN target of 5 to 9% inflation figure. So all of these are saying, are supporting what you have just said, that insecurity is pervasive, is affecting all of that, and many of macroeconomic indicators are affected one way or the other by the level of insecurity.
All right. We've got a number of reports, and we'll begin to take them now. Let's get to see this one, starting off with one from Lagos.
Lagos State, despite being the epicenter of COVID-19 pandemic, has contributed immensely to Nigeria being ranked by the World Health Organization as the fourth best in terms of curtailing the spread of the virus. Beyond this, the state, through support from the federal government, thrived in year 2021 in various sectors such as rail and road infrastructure, and which includes the completion of Lagos-Ibadan standard gauge rail. The state also made significant achievements in areas of education, agriculture, among others.
Nigeria had a strong 21, a resilient 21. I mean, in strict economic terms, of course, we haven't seen the kind of dip in economic activity that we've seen in other places. But more importantly, I think things are moving along in a positive direction in the country. So let me just cite a few of these positive developments. I mean, the movement towards having state-directed economic development is now unstoppable.
We need to ensure that we have a lot more predictability, a lot more stability in our macroeconomic environment, particularly around inflation and around the foreign exchange market, because those things are critical to ensuring that we have confidence.
Experts believe that Nigeria has a diversified economy, but need to deepen efforts and policy drive in building up critical sectors for economic buoyancy.
Whatever we can export now, from flowers to manufacturing to commodities to technologies, anything we can export, services, entertainment, footballers, anything we can export to earn foreign currency is going to be very significant.
Is resuscitate all the primary health care centers in all local government areas, and you give basic health to people, because it is people at the lower echelon of society that actually drive the economy.
With a 4.3% GDP growth in third quarter of 2021, experts give credence to the revitalization of sectors earlier shut down due to COVID-19 pandemic. In Lagos, Amaka Owo.
All right, from Lagos, we go up to Kano and take this report.
As a commercial hub not only in Nigeria but sub-Saharan Africa, efficient passenger and freight transportation is an essential need of the people of Kano. The groundbreaking ceremony in July this year of the Kano-Kaduna Standard Gauge Rail project by President Muhammadu Buhari is the most important event that gladdened the hearts of residents of the business-oriented state. The 203-kilometer rail line is part of the Lagos-Kano Rail Modernization Project of the federal government.
This administration recognizes rail transportation as a potent economic driver and as such has accorded railway infrastructure development the greatest priority it deserves.
When actualized, it will connect with the Abuja-Kaduna corridor, thereby linking the northern commercial hub with the nation's capital.
The biggest station in Nigeria will be sited here. And it is sited here because it will connect Kano Maradi. Passengers coming from Maradi will discharge here.
The government and people of Kano are pleased that the project will ease transportation of passengers and goods, thereby stimulating accelerated economic growth.
This significant infrastructure project is a clear indication to the Buhari-led administration commitment to promoting trade and commerce, as well as creating great employment opportunities among our teeming youth in Nigeria.
Ahead of the commencement of work on the Mega Rail project, Kano State government has already committed more than 2 billion naira in the provision of the needed infrastructure to facilitate the takeoff of the Dala Inland Dry Port to be connected with the proposed Mega Rail station. Critical components of the work on the two economically significant projects are expected to be actualized in the incoming year. For the people of Kano, therefore, 2022 will be a year of economic transformation.
All right, having seen those two reports, let us quickly go back to our Kaduna studio and link up again with Professor Kabir Matu. Well, Prof, from your initial comments when we started off, you obviously looked at the last lap of the activities of the legislature at the national level. And obvious from your comments, you weren't pleased with matters dealing with the electoral bill. But beyond that, certainly the legislature, in consonance with the executive, provided the basis for some of the projects and policies that could be said to have impacted the lives of Nigerians, either by way of appropriation or environment or the making of appropriate laws. So if you look at the activities of the legislature in 2021, what else would you say?
Thank you very much, Cyril. I think the legislature, has done fantastically very well, throughout there. One of the numerous achievements of this particular National Assembly is its timely passage of, all appropriation bills before it. This is a tremendous achievement. It has not been recorded in the first 16 years and even in the first 4 years of this administration. This is being achieved now. It means that, the National Assembly is playing its most central and critical role, and that is that of, economic, dimension of lawmaking, which is, like I said, central and fundamental to it. So on that count, fine. And even at the level of legislation and the way that they have responded to both, emerging national issues and conventional realities, has been so fantastic. One of the things that, the critics of the day would like to always bring forward is, the idea that too much concurrence between the legislature and the executive gives them a sleepless night. But once that is done, with a full understanding of the basics of why there should be collaboration between the two arms of government, I think that's fine for democracy, even if it does not suit, the bellies of certain political areas. So the National Assembly has done very well, and I expect that it's also going to do very well. My position about the amendment or the insertion of direct party primaries, the Electoral Act, which was vetoed by whose accent was withheld by the president, has to do with the fact that I have been with the National Assembly very closely. I've been their consultant from 2003 up till now. So I have a very important insight into it. But the way to solve the problems of, powers of executives, especially at state level within the Nigerian Federation, I think will better be addressed through compromise rather than, confrontation. It is very clear in every federal system, the theory is there very, for you to see in every federal system, the constituent units apparently are stronger when they combine their forces together than even the center, because the center is comprised of the constituent units, and the legislature, as it is, will always have to respond, and that's why, since 1999, if you recall, there has been growing agitation on the part of the political class, especially within the legislature, and those who wants to be or who are governors of their respective states in trying to forge ahead this, very unfortunate conflict, which I think is unnecessary. Between the legislature and the executive, it's supposed to be an effective collaboration and understanding for the good of the generality of the population, and not, how to, yes, governors are very strong, they decide, especially through the delegate system, who gets what, when, and how. That's fine. And I think my final call here is that the legislature has done fantastically very well, like I said, in 2021. And we hope they will also do better, in 2022, being their politically active, in the present circumstance, so that we can have, a greater understanding. But I call on the members of the National Assembly not to try to override that veto because of the very cumbersome economic, political, and even social implications in case the law makes it mandatory that every political party should do its primaries through the direct means. I think that's an infringement also, like I did say, on the fundamental human rights or the fundamental objectives, the freedom that these political associations themselves are supposed to enjoy. So let's respect, our territorialities. Let's also try to plan our political ambitions on the basis of how much we are able to build synergies, to build, friendship and camaraderie between various levels of governments and members, consisting of this, rather than, this knife and dagger approach that is always being presented as a way, of solving simple political issues that can be resolved through consistent dialoguing that will lead to the understanding between the various parties. So I think the parliament is my constituency. I've been a student of parliament since the return to civil rule in 1999. We've tried to study, we've tried to aggregate a lot of data and even build capacities of parliamentarians and the staff of the various parliaments over this long period of time. So I think they have done very well, and I'll encourage them also to continue to do well.
Okay. Well, taking it a little bit further, if we turn to Ajuri Ngilale, the question of consensus building, collaboration, you might to some extent be a little bit skeptical about it for one reason. Would you say it's a fair comment that the executive in 2021 effectively had the legislature under its wings? That's one part of it. Would that be a fair comment? Would it also be fair to say that the general public, the citizens, might not really think it's healthy to always be on the same side? How would you respond to that?
Thank you very much once again, Cyril, for the opportunity. I think let's just understand that we've unfortunately come to a place where in our public discourse and in our political culture where it is fashionable to disagree in the most obscene, antagonistic, and cynical manners possible. President Muhammadu Buhari is a gentleman. He is a man of dignity, of decorum, of principle. And he does not conduct state policy or intergovernmental relationship on the basis of trying to score political points according to a political culture that has become rotten over the last several decades. He's interested in reshaping the political culture in such a manner that we reclaim the dignity and sense of self-respect that many of our leaders from the First Republic so cherished. And I think the idea, and I want to just say that by going into the relationship between the executive and the National Assembly. I think the 8th National Assembly felt that it was in their political self-interest or self-survival to make everything a political gimmick. You had situations where funds devoted to major projects were being diverted into billions of naira for tricycles and constituencies. You had a whole bunch of situations where appointments were being stopped, even though those agencies were being made comatose by the stoppage of those appointments, just so that somebody who was a principal officer could eventually run for president. These are things that are not healthy for the nation. It might appeal to the political culture of today, but it's not healthy for the country. Now we have a 9th National Assembly that has come in and has said, we have to actually work for the country now. We can't just work for ourselves now. We have to work with an elected president who was elected by the people of this country to deliver an agenda for the benefit of the people of this country and not for the benefit of principal officers. And so when they work together to achieve things like the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act, things like the passage of successive finance bills, things like January to December budgeting cycles as a result of the swift, passage and assent of successive appropriation bills during the life of the 9th Assembly. These are things that have actual tangible impact on the life of our citizens, and that's very important. Now, to the issue of whether or not they disagree enough, understand that we just were talking about the Electoral Act Amendment, right? The joint chambers of the National Assembly, the Senate and the House of Representatives, made a position known and passed a law that had a provision that dealt with direct primaries. The president made his position known based on advice, based on consultative, kind of exercises across various, not just MDAs, but other agencies and other, tiers of government, branches of government, and said, look, based on this advice, this is the right thing to do. Now, that was at variance, obviously, with the position of the National Assembly. So clearly, there's no lack of areas of disagreement, but the manner in which disagreement is being handled now, is just a bit more decorous than what the political culture is used to. And what we are saying is that we can disagree on issues without being disagreeable. We can be dignified in our disagreements, and we can move the nation forward in a way that recognizes that whether you like APC or you like PDP, you're a Nigerian first, and Nigeria will outlive any of these political parties. We understand that, and hopefully the political culture will follow suit once President Muhammadu Buhari completes his exercise of reshaping the political culture of the country.
We'll look at other aspects of that in greater detail, but General, we'll come back to you. And there's another aspect I want us to look at beyond what we see ordinarily as security challenges. And Nigerians would ask, how well has this administration partnered with the international community in addressing some of these challenges? I mean, it was public knowledge at some point in time that not many advanced countries were in a hurry to lend a hand to help put down this insurgency at some point in time. Has it been a little bit better? Did it get better in 2021? Do we see a bigger international interest and collaboration in putting down the insecurity challenges in the security challenges in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. There have been massive improvement in the relationship between Nigeria and the international community, particularly the Western world. You could take it from the issue of the Kano. The Kano aircraft was supposed to have been in our inventory since 2007, thereabouts. Denied to Nigeria about 2013, 14, 15. But now it's coming. Elements are coming. So which shows that there is a massive improvement. The president had gone out on, we call it shovel diplomacy, meeting people and then really talking about what's going on. So a lot of efforts are being in that wise, and that's why things are beginning. Platforms are now being released to Nigeria, being sold to Nigeria, compared to 2000 even up to 2017. The Leahy Law, the Castro 2017, human rights issues, those things are gradually being put aside. And it is based on the effort of the president on one hand and the other elements, the system opening up a little bit, the Americans and the Britons are virtually in Maiduguri with the Theater Command, looking at what is happening, advising, providing elements of assistance, especially in intelligence. So when you look at all this, you realize that so much had gone in. My worry is with our immediate neighbors, Chad, Niger, Cameroon, and Benin Republic, Francophone African countries. We need to do more with France because it is actually France that is our neighbor, determining what happens in those countries. So we need to take our relationship with France a little bit higher because if we do that, a lot of things will fall in place. And I'll give an example. You have Operation Bokane going on, and then the French were planning to start another operation within that operation while trying to withdraw from Mali. And then in the Lake Chad area, you have an operation ongoing, and then you want to start another. And then you have the Sahel G5, most Francophone. So Nigeria needs to be, if Nigeria is not going to be a member of the G5 Sahel, we should at least be on observer basis to know what is happening. And that's why I believe much more still needs to be done with France. But with the Americans, it's improving, at least for the Secretary of Defense to come to Nigeria in the shuffle, whatever, within three African countries, and Nigeria was one of those he came to. And all of a sudden, you could realize that things are beginning to move.
Let's get back to the economy now. And Professor Kenife, 2021, so many things determined or, impacted on the growth of the economy. I'd like to take a look at the growth of industries. For some time, we got reports of many industries folding up, some businesses moving to neighboring countries. But you see, one of the biggest issues here is the role of power in growing the economy and in businesses. 2021 witnessed a lot in terms of improving Nigeria's power generation and power supply. But then, you could also say that within 2021, we've seen numerous failures, shutdowns, breakdowns in the grid, shutdowns that happened almost 4 or 5 times with such frequency. How has that impacted on efforts to get industries up and running again?
There's no doubt in anybody's mind that infrastructure deficit in the country has been an accumulation of neglect since 1960s. Do you know the last time the new rail track was laid was 1927. Then you look at the road, the stock of infrastructure in Nigeria is 35% of our GDP. South Africa is 80%. Many countries is over 100% of their GDP. That just gives you an idea of the scale of neglect of infrastructure. All the time, all the money that we had in the 80s and 90s, we are not going into building infrastructure. Let me tell you how important it is. Infrastructure is very important. If you look at the visions of Nigeria, for example, the 2030 vision says our GDP will be 1.64 trillion, and then 2050 will be 6.4 trillion, consistent with Africa, which will be 29 trillion. If we don't go to our 6.4 trillion, Africa will move to 29 trillion. They will go without Nigeria. So the fact is that for you to draw investment in, you need to build that kind of infrastructure to support that kind of growth. And that's why the government is borrowing. It's borrowing, and the law, FRA 2007, permits government to borrow for capital expenditure and also for human resource development, which involves health, education, and capacity development, and also, of course, employment. Now, companies complain. I've seen surveys that say 65% of companies provide power for themselves 90% of the time. I've seen running analysis in the website of MAN saying that 77% of the companies are complaining that their problem is power. We all know that. And it's not just power, it's also transportation cost. Transportation costs can add as much as 20% to the input cost. Power can add as much as 30%. Those two alone, about 50%. So having said that, government is borrowing, and it has to borrow because we're not going to be looking at money and then forget the three existential problems that I have just mentioned, the challenges. But the borrowing has to be prudent, and I can tell you, we haven't exceeded our headrooms at all. World Bank says we could go to 50% of our GDP on our external borrowing, or domestic and external borrowing put together. And then the normal average will be about 40%. But we are not even there yet. But it's projected by 2024, we may well be heading to that 50%. But it is not the debt that we are owing that is important. What is important is that the revenue, we are actually the lowest tax constituency in Africa. So on one hand, why is our revenue to government revenue to GDP is about 7%? The average across Africa is 18%. So it looks like we have to triple that revenue base. And I have to tell you that I have been to Senate Finance Committee. I can see the venom that they are pouring on MDAs, that agencies that are not paying up and they're remitting their money. I have seen aggressive plan from Ministry of Finance to raise the money from 7% to 15%. Everybody sees what PIA. Eventually, this PIA got signed. How many? Over 2 decades, we've been politicizing with it. Today, it got signed. And you can see the confidence with FIR saying, we hope that our revenue will double next year to over 10 trillion. So the action to raise those revenues are robust. And they're all captured in the big plan, the medium-term plan. And so, given all that, you can see that the medium-term plan also expects massive investment, 348 trillion naira investment between now and 2025, which means on average, every year we are going to be looking for 70 trillion. Now, the government is not going to say, I'm not even worried about the impact of election because government has willed this to the private sector. Because all government agencies together, all the levels of government are going to contribute about 50 trillion. Federal, less than 30. State, 14. Local government, 7. So the 300 trillion is going to be going to the private sector to find. And they're not wishful thinking on the budget. They are going to find it. You can see the infrastructure company. It's got 1 trillion capitalization from federal government, and they are going out now to go and find another additional 14 trillion naira with which to now warehouse these federal government projects, national projects, and then take them and run with them. You've seen aggression on the privatization program. You see more monies are being expected to come. And everywhere you go, more trusts are going to be set up, more creative, first-class companies. I was in a committee that looked at Ministry of Finance Incorporated to restructure that to a world-class asset company so that we can begin to leverage our assets to improve liquidity, because the whole challenge is liquidity. Saudi Arabia needed $25 billion. They didn't go to IMF or World Bank. They said, oh, wait a minute, we have Saudi Aramco. How much is it worth? They went and valued it and found that it's over 1.5 trillion. I said, okay, give me 5% of that. And they got the money they needed. We need to be doing this because we have thousands of assets of government that are all there out to be to the private sector to engage. So there's very creative, imaginative, action-oriented, and with monitoring framework. Again, compare that to other plans. We have rigorous monitoring framework. Every sector, you could see the targets, the baseline, and what they're expected to get. And then, of course, once you have that, monitoring follows through. So it's going to get better. From what I've seen, it's going to get better. But the worst is not over yet.
Okay. At this point, we'll take a short break. When we return, the phone lines will be open, and that means you can get to be part of the discussion in the studio. So stay with us on NTA Tuesday Live. We'll be back shortly.
I am more than just an idea. I am alive, connected. I am part of an ecosystem, creating connections within an interactive and sustainable city. I am intentional about excellence, integrity, and efficiency. I am invested in building a sustainable future. I am committed to strategic partnerships and collaborations. I can be tough, and I can be tender. I take pride in delivering high standards. While there may be others, I am in a league of my own. I am more than just an idea. I am beloved. Who are you?
From the heart of the Federal Capital Territory
to the ancient city of Kano,
from the sprawling rooftops of Ibadan
to the bustling markets of Aba and the creeks of the Niger Delta, you really can't beat the reach.
Over the years, we have kept going, keeping you informed, educated, and entertained.
And how have we survived in the very challenging year?
Because of our pillars of support, namely the 3 tiers of government: ministries, departments, and agencies,
corporate bodies and advertisers,
religious bodies,
civil society groups,
political parties, and most importantly, you, our esteemed viewers. Together, we made 2021 great.
And together, we shall make 2022 greater. Thank you.
From all of us here at NTA, your season's greetings and a prosperous new year.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
All right, thanks for staying with us. And this is that part of the program, as we said, that you can now join in. The lines are going to be on your screens. You can take advantage of those lines and call in to air your views on the subject matter. Remember, as we said at the start of the program, if your call gets through to the studio, do us a favor, turn down the volume of your TV set to avoid the hurlback or the echo. And we always say this to you: don't worry about the greetings. A mere hello is enough. Just go straight to the point, keep it short, straight to the point, so others can also get on the platform and contribute. And whatever issues you raise, our panelists will be only too willing to respond to them. So here we go. We start off this segment by taking yet another report, this time from Asaba.
Delta State government is focused on skills acquisition for its youth. This is through various programs embarked upon by the state. It is hoped that every youth in the state is technically inclined and self-reliant in no distant time.
By 2022, what the state is doing now is making sure that the social register of the state captures all the excluded vulnerable families. And when you have them in the social register owned by Delta State government, you find that our intervention is very easy. Whether they are children out of school, like I said, whether they are young people with skills but they don't have education, whether they are still young people with education but without skills, they at every given point, whether they are persons living with disabilities, whether they are even children living with disabilities.
On his part, the acting state director, National Orientation Agency, Chris Anyabwine, said there is need for state and federal governments to do more in the coming year to tackle the issue of drug abuse and dependency among youth in the state, as these have resulted to other societal ills.
It's been said that drug is a trigger for most of the crime that we have. Some say almost 50% of crimes are triggered by drugs. However, not everybody agree that all crimes are triggered by drugs, because they are also caused by other things. And so we want to say that looking forward, we will be wanting to see more rehabilitation centers for youths who are already hooked on drugs spread across the length and breadth of the country.
Improved infrastructure developments to help boost commerce in the state will go a long way in checking idleness both among youth and other members of the society, which in turn will mitigate crime.
The government, on its part, has provided platforms to support businesses even with COVID-19 reliefs and other measures to support the poor and vulnerable in society. They have various programs such as the NSIP, National Social Investment Programs, which they have rolled out. And in 2022, we want to have more youths come to take advantage of those facilities.
A call is on for civil society organizations to collaborate with security agencies for a stronger strategy to fight insecurity come 2022. Onyinye Joshua Ifeanyi.
All right, and from Asaba, we take on this report from Oka.
An important political landmark, the Anambra State 2021 governorship election, has been conducted. The exercise was described by many as a litmus test for the electoral umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and security agencies. This came on the heels of security threats, including the activities of unknown gunmen and IPOB sit-at-home orders, which were at the peak in the state before the November 6, 2021 polls. The security challenges put the election under a huge cloud of doubt, with great fear and apprehension among the citizenry.
We had the elections, and the elections came out quite surprisingly, though, because of the times that we are in. If you contextualize the environment, very successful. And we give God all the glory for also the outcome of the election. The peace, the tranquility that followed the election.
We describe it as one of the years in this country, any survivor, we have a reason to say thank you, Jesus.
However, INEC proved its mettle in technology application with the introduction of the biometric voter accreditation system device, the BVAS, which permits easy collation and transmission of results. Economic downturn occasioned by high inflation rates, COVID-19 pandemic with the latest discovery of Omicron variant were among the headlines in the year 2021.
Year forward in this country is ethical reorientation. First of all, the followers reorienting themselves, telling themselves that we can survive, we can do it. You evaluate yourself, self-assessment, where you are doing wrong, just get it right as a person. Every other thing will fall in line.
The consensus is that the leaders and the led should work as a team to take the country to greater heights, as no one is an island. In Oka, Chinyere Fesi Okoye, NTA News.
Okay, it's an apt place to take on the next set of issues as we go to Kaduna and link up with Professor Kabiru Matu. 2021, leaving aside the state, let's look at the political class. 2021, we saw off-cycle elections, as they've come to be known now. These are meant to, the latest, of course, was seen as a litmus test of what is to come in 2023. Let's talk about the political class, how those elections played out, and what 2021 saw generally from the politicians themselves.
Thank you very much, Cyril. But I think the political class, you know, as usual, is also apparently learning fast. It's not as you know, uncooked as it used to be in the past. There is some level of decency even in the cutthroat competition, you know, that seems to be emerging in 2023. On a general note, I think the Nigerian political establishment seems to be learning fast in the sense that there are certain fundamental mistakes that one will call political blunders that used to happen. I still see quite a little of it rearing its ugly head in the desperation for, criticizing what is being done, and in also preparation of a fertile ground for possibly, having it easy in 2023. But I think on a general note, like I said, the political class seems to be learning, and we expect that they will learn more going into 2022. One of the most tragic, scenarios of the Nigerian political vocabulary has to do with this, winner takes all mentality. Thereby, once you are out, seeking for acceptability in the part of the populace, so that you are elected into a particular level of political representation, the decision of the electorate is not often respected by those who lose. This is very tragic. We have seen what is happening in advanced, capitalist social formations, for instance, where as heated as the electoral process is, as soon as the decision has been made by the citizenry, those who lose, eventually accept and pledge to cooperate in moving the society forward. So I think if politics really is an intercourse of seeking to partner with people in the service of God and humanity through the electoral process, I think our attitude to it should be more democratic than it is now. Yes, let's be desperate in searching for it, but let's not fabricate mere political lies in order to create bad impression on the face of the public of any person that is in political position or political authority. If you don't know when you do it today and you achieve your objectives, by the time that you are there tomorrow and when it is done, to you, you will feel the pinch very, very painfully. So we need to do more. We have done very well. We need to improve on our attitudes and continue to internalize the very...
Yes, Prof, we'll return to you in just a moment. I'd just like to ask you to pause a while. Let's see if we can get in this call from Abdul Rahim in Lokoja, and we'll return to you for the other aspect of how the political class conducted itself in 2021. Abdul Rahim from Lokoja, you're on. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good day. I'm happy to be on the show this time around. The first reaction I want to put forward is that of the statement Professor Matthew made that it was in desperation to go back to Abuja. The National Assembly brought out, the proposal for direct primaries. I think I want to disagree with his position. The issue of party primaries, was as a result of, public opinion that came. And if our population is growing, the cost of doing election will never go down. And I think that it is this, primaries that has to be, conducted, especially using electronic form, that will bring our cost of election down. And I thought you would have said that what they needed to do is to cross the T's and dot the I's and take it back for Athens. So making such a statement, at this time is not too good. The other thing has to do with security. There is something about our security that we've still not gotten right. And that is the punitive aspect, of people doing evil things. People are already aware in Nigeria that if you commit crime, there is a way out. And as long as that remains in our psyche, there is no way the security problems will abate. If you like, go and bring all the Tucanos in America. It will not abate. So we must have to look for a way, to ensure that is resolved. If anybody commits crime, the punishment should be stiff and it should be determined. There shouldn't be any way around it. That is my contribution. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Abdurrahim from Lokoja. Thank you. I'll just keep the calls coming through, and the issues you raise will be looked at in greater detail. Just before we return to Professor Kabir Batu, because the last caller did not agree with his initial comments on the question of the president withholding assent to Electoral Act. He also spoke of something to do with the security challenges, and that brings me to the question, even though he didn't quite say it, he says people should be punished when they have committed crimes. Now, we have insurgents, we have people who have come out to say they have repented, but Nigerians are still skeptical about those claims, and some have said you treat them with kid gloves. You say they claim they are repentant, and then you provide them all the opportunities. What happens to the victims?
Thank you very much. I want to take you back to what I said. We emphasize the kinetic approach, the military approach. We are talking about a whole of societal approach now. Let everybody do their job. I mentioned that. The judiciary must be up and doing, must perform. If the judiciary don't, you have, even when I was in service, over 3,000 Boko Haram members arrested. And the first 100 came out, and 99 were freed. The military became afraid. It means the battle will continue. You can't win. So it got to a point where the Ministry of Justice was contacted. Even those who are repenting, there are processes and procedure. You can't just say, oh, I'm no more fighting. I've dropped my weapon. You must go through the process. And after the process, yes, leniency at the end of the day, but everybody must be seen to have gone through one process or the other. And that builds trust. Because if the society don't trust in whatever you're doing, you're wasting your time.
Okay. Back to the phones now. Stanley is calling in from Jos. Hello, Stanley.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you. Sir?
Go ahead. Go on.
Okay, I have a question to Professor Ken Ife.
Right.
I've learned about some of the projections he has put forward. I want to know, of which I have heard him say many occasions that we have wonderful plans, but we are poor in implementation. Now, I want to relate with this discussion and see these projections in terms of verifiable impact indicators that can be explained at the macro level, micro level. If there are explanations to some of these projections and it can be seen at the family level, reduced to family levels, what do we need to see happen at the family level in terms of employment, in terms of poverty reduction? I think that a common man will help to understand how we are moving forward. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Straightforward. Professor Ken Ife, your call.
If you look at the new National Development Plan, of which 2021 is the first leg and is going to 2025, there are 6 pillars there. The first pillar is about economic development, which deals with diversification, industrial development, and all that area. The second pillar deals with infrastructure, and I have talked on infrastructure substantially, except if you want me to roll out more figures for you. Then you have the area that deals with public administration, where government is fighting
tooth and nail to using all available acts to ensure that there is more transparency, more accountability, more prudence in the management of public finance. And then also, as you could see, some of the finance acts that are constantly, shaping and reforming, which is very, very remarkable. Then there's an area that this is social development. And that's where they hope that they will get about 35 million people in employment by 2025. Now, we can drill down on those figures because there are particular programs of action on the housing development, on the works, on infrastructure. In fact, you saw one of those in the Economic Sustainability Plan. 774,000 young people were employed in 774 local government, 1,010. There's going to be an orchestration of that level of public utility investment in public works to ensure that more and more hands, and of course an expansion of the social investment fund, all the various elements of job creation there will all be escalated. And that's why we are looking for a huge investment of 350 trillion. That's not a small money. 70 trillion every year. How much is government budget? It's just around 15 trillion, but we are talking about 5 times that government budget in every year to orchestrate. And then there's also lifting 100 million people out of poverty. There's a commitment to do about 35 million of those by that same time. 21 million into employment by 2025, 35 million people out of poverty, out of extreme poverty by 2025, out of the 35 out of 100. So, and the 100 is supposed to be over 10 years. So the taste of that pudding is actually in the eating. If you go to the sectoral plan, every sector, education, housing, construction, and I have to tell you this, if you look at the GDP figure, the current GDP figure, you will see that trade has returned to pre-COVID level, and it's even exceeded it. And then you have construction, the growth rate in construction, in manufacturing, in ICT, in finance, they're all in double digit. And they've all exceeded pre-COVID level. Though that I have a personal concern about the trade because we have been launched into trade imbalance, where we are importing 8 trillion and then exporting 5 trillion, which is only oil and gas, and then a deficit of 3 trillion. So I'm very, very worried about that because whilst on one hand, India seems to be parity with us, 700 billion, but China, I can't understand why China is dumping 2.44 trillion naira goods in Nigeria, and we have no response to that. So, back to your question. Yes, there are programs that are going to deliver those, and I have trust on the integrity of these programs because I'm part of it actually. I was the chairman of the technical working group of digital economy, bioeconomy, science, technology, and innovation. And we made sure that we have these targets written into this plan so that there will be no excuse about monitoring them and giving us a regular monitoring. And that has been one significant thing missing in previous plans.
So you have confidence in the system. But, well, we'll look at that before we round up. But we have another caller now, Ibrahim from Kaduna. Hello, Ibrahim.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Actually, hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello, Cyril. Good evening, sir.
Yes, Ibrahim, go on. We are listening. Go ahead.
I'm always watching this program every Tuesday on one-on-one. My own is advice. I'm a graduate from 2009 to this extent. I want to give MPE International an advice. These people that you keep on inviting, interviewing them, they are the major problems in Nigeria. I want you, please, try to get people like us to be included in their needs. People that have confidence like us. so that as you are interviewing them, having such caliber of persons like me or others, if someone, because they can't just be coming here and be speaking English every day.
Ibrahim, but this is the opportunity. This is exactly what you're talking about. That's why you're on the air. You've called in now, so go ahead and give your own part of it. You are part of the program. You have just called in. You have a view. Go ahead and air it.
Poor person.
Hello? Ibrahim, are you still there?
All right. So that is my own advice, because
yeah, but Ibrahim,
11 years from now.
Okay, thank you, Ibrahim. But let me just quickly remind you that you have just spoken on this program. So you had a whole opportunity. I was waiting to hear you say, right, you do not agree with what the panelists have said. This is what you think the situation is, and we're still waiting. You can still go ahead. You are part of the program. We have asked you to speak on this program. Exactly what you're saying.
If you call them, they keep on speaking English without any amendment.
Oh, well. Thank you very much, Ibrahim. It would seem as if you're not ready to air those views because you just had an opportunity given to you. If you disagree with anything anyone has said, that was your opportunity to say it. So I'd like you to see it this way. You, just like every other person, are part of this program. Whether we have invited you to come to the studio or not, the fact is we have opened the lines and we have said, call in, air your views. And you had that opportunity. I know that some other people would be looking to call in and air their views. You've heard some of them say that. So, thank you, Ibrahim. Let me just say, go ahead and call again some other time and air your own views. We have another caller now, Stephen, who's calling in from Lagos. Hello, Stephen. Hello, Stephen, you're on. Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, Stephen.
Yes. Good day, sir. My name is Stephen. I'm coming from Lagos.
Oh, okay.
I want to talk on what the poor say about the taxes. When you levy a company more than its affordability, it increases the cost of production. And what are the costs of production? Land, finance, personnel. Now, if you go to a full climate that are into production, like China, people see now in the China are building the products in Nigeria. Yes, they are done because they go to production in China. Here in Nepal, here in the day, it is for Nepal, it is for generator, it is for fuel, it is for anybody use that you use. And the worst is because of taking a product from your factory to the market. So everything is treated. Now, on top of it, like in Nigeria, we have bread in Nigeria. China comes to Nigeria and take bread. Go back to China and move back. And we don't go to China and import the battery and the people at their own prices. Why can't we improve on NEPA? Why can't we improve on NEPA? That is the main issue. We have bread in Nigeria. We are giving to use bread to go and give us battery. Not how to work on those ones. By the time you get NEPA, by the time you get power, okay, someone in Nigeria will be solved. The main issue is this: let all hands be on there. Let all the government forces be on deck to solve the issue of power in Nigeria. Once power is solved in Nigeria, we are free from all other issues. That's the first one. The second one is we have a long list of road in Nigeria. Someone will be in an office who tries too much work. He is giving so much money. That is the reason why the political issue is people in Nigeria. If I sit back in my house, people in the Senate, people in the State House of Assembly, come with that in there. I will do my work. If as a doctor, how much I get to earn in a year? This is what they give them in the House of Reps. This is what they give them even in the full House of Assembly. So why can I go to work? Why can an engineer work? Because they have made the guilty in politics. That is the trouble we have in Nigeria. That is why in all format are fair. But everybody was in politics. It's not the truth. If you start paying government 5 million in loans, if you start paying those in House of Reps 2 million in loans, the country will come down in Nigeria. There will not be much feeling in politics again. Because they see it now as easier business to do. Yes. What in Nigeria is not easier business to do. There's nothing you can do in the whole world, that can play in the whole world, that in Nigeria for politics.
Okay. So thank you very much. Thank you for your contribution. But let's return to the studio now and take up one issue that featured prominently in 2021. And I'm coming to Ajuri Ngelale on this one. 2021, there was a lot of disquiet speaking about industrial relations, strikes, talk about strikes and actual strikes. It cut across from education to health to energy. 2021 saw so many strikes. The administration had its hands full negotiating, and some of them were said to be the result of a failure to carry through agreements in the past. How do you assess this?
Thank you, Cyril. I think first and foremost to recognize the fact that many of the strike actions that you referred to, most of them were either averted entirely or resolved. And of course, that is a positive outcome. I think if you look at the long history of this country, certainly within the ambit of my journalistic career, I have seen several successive strike actions across subsectors of the economy. That's become kind of a yearly feature in this country, unfortunately. Much of it has to do with the fact that you have very real economic constraints. And many of the factors, such as a once-in-a-century global pandemic that cut your revenues by 50% at a point, come into play, and you now still have to, deal with agreements that were struck when there was no such thing as a global pandemic. These are realities, right? So it's about having these discussions and these negotiations, and people leveling with each other, not antagonizing each other, not demonizing each other, and getting to the root of issues. I think what's really important, though, is that all sides require a level of compassion that has not really been part of our national culture when it comes to interrelating with ourselves. Compassion in the sense that if we're battling a once-in-a-century pandemic, and you know that your hospital is more full than it has ever been in the history of you working in that hospital, and yes, you have your grievances with government, etc., through your union or whatever the case may be, at some point there should be a basic human minimum of what we will or will not do in view of life and death scenarios where you can go on in action, take an action, and it kills an innocent person, for example. So these are some of the areas where we believe that there can be kind of a greater enhancement of some of these virtues that would allow us to roll through some of these difficulties in a better way. With that said, Cyril, I think because several things have been said since the last time I had a chance to speak, and it's really important for me to be able to respond to at least some of them. One is the notion that there's just English being spoken on these programs. Oftentimes, I spend a lot of time going out and engaging with Nigerians, not just on the street, but on TV and radio, etc., etc. And oftentimes what they say is that government does not communicate enough. But ironically, when you attempt to reach out and communicate sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, people will, say that you're just shooting grammar, when in fact you are communicating based on empirical evidence that you can prove and verify. So for example, if we begin to talk about how we unlock private capital to supplement public sector investment in the case of the National Development Plan. We're not talking about some pie in the sky, in the clouds plan that we aspire to but we're not able to reach. No, we're saying that we're going to double down on what you have already seen us accomplish. What do I mean by that? When we say we're unlocking private capital, you can look at President Muhammadu Buhari's Executive Order 007, which is the road refurbishment tax credit scheme, in which we've been able to get private companies to put up their capital to reconstruct or newly construct federal highways in exchange for calibrated tax relief. You have Boni Bodo Road right now in River State, 199 billion naira road linking NLNG on Boni Island with the mainland of this country for the first time in history, that is being paid up front by NLNG and then repaid by government through calibrated tax relief. We have the same thing going on the Apapa Oworonshoki Tollgate Road. Anybody that has plied that road over the course of the last few years would know that what I'm saying right now is not grammar, but an empirical reality that they experience every day in terms of the infrastructure developing around the ports. See, so whether it's that or whether it's the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund, PIDF, where we're building the 336 billion naira second Niger bridge, start to complete, it's going
Okay. Okay, so that's a glitch on that audio. We'll fix that as we go on. But okay, let's see if we can link up straight.
Interest is making sure that Nigerians know exactly what we're doing, and those things that we're not able to do, why we're not able to do them. Because there's a limit to what you can do when you have real economic constraints, a once-in-a-century global pandemic, historically low oil prices as of 2020 when it cut down to about $13 per barrel. These are realities that must be communicated even as we continue to engage moving forward.
Now, let's link up with Professor Kabiru Mato. In just a couple of days, 2021 will be done, and we're looking forward to 2022. Prof, what are your expectations of the coming year?
Well, I expect that, 2022 is going to be a year of a lot of politicking. What really remains uncertain is whether the Nigerian currency, Naira, will continue to be so unprotected to the extent that it will continue to lose its value, put in comparison with the American dollar. If that is done, and we see a further shrink in the value of our local currency, then of course that will also spell a lot of economic doom to the purchasing power of several Nigerians. We have heard, and some of us are attuned with the fact that there may be the need to deregulate the subsidy on, to remove the subsidy on petroleum products. A very painful decision, which I think it's very critical, if really some sufficient resources is to be liberated for further, economic development of the rest of the Nigerian society, as against a current tradition of subsidizing a very minute fraction of the population, who unfortunately or fortunately are so strong and up the societal ladder to the extent that they can always voice out their opposition to any genuine and patriotic move on the part of government to bring a meaningful life to the majority of the citizenry. So those who are holding the economy by the jugular will continue to do what they are used to doing. It's left for government now to try to come up with efficient strategies, especially protecting the local currency, that's the Naira. In the face of this vicious, international attack that it receives on a minute-by-minute basis. Today, it's over 500 naira to $1 American. This is unbecoming. In the last, many years, in the 1970s, in the 1980s, and 1990s, when they tell us about, the value of the currency in our neighboring countries, mainly Francophone, we were amazed. We laughed over it. Today, the value of the Naira is not any radically different from what you have in these countries. And I think it's obviously not necessarily a structurally economic issue, but it's also the policy dimension of it that has to be done. I'll give you an example. Between 1993 to 1998, 8 when General Abacha held fort. The value of the naira to the dollar remained constant at 86 naira. It means that government could actually intervene and decide to fix a price for its own currency. But the problem is that those who hold the foreign denominations in large quantity are up there at the societal ladder and will do anything to frustrate that. Nigeria has, the largest number of bureau de change in the continent of Africa, and even in Europe, you hardly can find a country that has so many, which means the naira is exposed. And as long as the naira is so exposed and its value continues to dilapidate, what it means is that even if we buy petrol in January at the cost of 370 naira to a liter, it will only be for a small period of time when again there will be need for either subsidy or again a further deregulation. So one, I'm saying that we need to fix that, certainly if we want to start getting things done, in a manner that will be helpful to the Nigerian society in 2022. Politics, that is the year of politics. PDP has started, like I said, they have their National Executive Committee. They are going into their states. The APC is coming up in February. And, a lot of other smaller political parties, because Nigeria is predominantly a two-party state. Yes, Abuja in Anambra State. But substantially, if you divide 36 by that number, you will find that really it's a two-party state. So political actors will be desperate. They will come with all manners of scheming in order to either retain political relevance or secure political acceptability on the part of the citizen. And I think this must be done with high degree of caution. And like somebody said in the course of this program, the bottom line should be Nigeria and not, the political party that provides the lead in this country. If we put that behind our minds, then of course we'll be able to have our words bound on the understanding of what democracy is. That is, the majority to have its way.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that. And we'll quickly go to Professor Kenny Faye and say, well, at the end of the day, I suppose all that matters is if the citizens can say the quality of life has improved, they've got more money in their pockets, or perhaps the money in their pockets now can purchase them what they need much better than 2021. Are we projecting or looking at that in 2022 when the citizen can say, my life is better?
Well, I think I'd like to tackle what Professor Kabir has mentioned about foreign exchange and all of that. You see, there is a fundamental mismatch between the request for forex and what we get as income from forex. There's a mismatch. And until you are in a position where you are exporting more than what you are importing, then you have that comfort. At the moment, we're not. Let me give you some example. We're only exporting oil and gas to the extent that 80% of our forex comes from that export activity. Now, other productive factors, other productive forces like manufacturing of agricultural products, assembling of products and re-exporting, they are not bringing enough currency to ensure that we can deal with the appetite for the import. Because at the moment, CBN gets, not even CBN, NNPC is supposed to be sending $3 billion every month to CBN, their proceeds, which eventually finds its way to our external reserves. They have not received anything for the whole of this year. So for 12 months now, CBN has not received those monies. And yet you expect CBN to go and start printing American dollar in our minting house. That's not going to happen. So the only way it gets the money it gets is maybe something from remittance and then borrowed money, because we cannot afford to allow the debt to crystallize. We have debts that are denominated in dollars, and we have to find currency to pay for those every month as we are servicing our debts. And then, of course, there are invincibles, and then you have the manufacturing sector taking a lot of it. 80% of the manufacturing capacity in Nigeria are dependent on imported raw materials. So you can now understand why CBN now moved for 100 for 100 program, which allows you up to 5 billion, and then 50% of it minimum must be raw material from Nigeria.
80% of workers must be from Nigeria. So they are now trying to create a new industrial structure. Rather than fight existing old structure, they want to create new structure.
That shift in 2022. Are we going to see a shift in 2022? Are we going to see a shift in 2022? Prof, if you can hear me, I'm saying, are we going to see a shift in 2022?
Is a new, there are so many game changers that are taking place right now that will make 2022 much more confident. We are going to be much more confident about the future. Okay, you see the e-Naira. Now let me tell you the impact of e-Naira. E-Naira plays on settlement for international trade to some extent. It will also help bring in many millions. Remember, 40% of our population are not even in the banking sector. It's going to bring all that guys all into the banking. And let me tell you that there's a study that I just had results of today. Nigeria ranks number 6 in the world in real-time transactions. Who is number 1? India, 25 billion transactions. You know, this financial transactions. Number 2 is China. Come down, Korea. Nigeria is number 6. We are even ahead of America. So, and then many other countries, we are number 6. Now, what it shows you, by the time you add the impact of e-Naira, the impact of all these cashless things, Nigeria is moving. We are moving with a tremendous pace. So, digital inclusion is one where the digital, and it is all because of the infrastructure that we have, we've been investing in, payment infrastructure. And that is why, do you know that because of this, during COVID last year, our banking sector were posting double-digit growth while there was a shutdown. It's because substantial investment has gone into payment infrastructure. You have USSD, you have POS, you have all kinds of infrastructure, and it's opening up the space. And then secondly, there are 90 million MSMEs in Africa. 42 million of them are from Nigeria. How can we be 47% of the businesses in Africa when we're only 18% of the population and 80% of the GDP? It shows you that entrepreneurship is growing phenomenally in Nigeria, and there is a latent political advantage. In terms of the inflation, the trends are going to be coming down. The heat is coming down on inflation, and then we are going to see more of that. Of course, we benefited from, we didn't get flooding this year, so food, the yield was reasonable. And then, of course, we also see other areas like investment. You've seen the figures. We're expecting an investment, and the superstructures and the companies that have been set up, world-class companies, world-class asset management company, world-class infrastructure company, bringing private sector head-on to deal with all these investments. While politicians are playing their politics, you're going to see private sector get heavily involved in driving our economy. So things are looking up. It's not as bad. It's not as bad. And I think one thing where we're not doing correctly is we're not giving enough credit to the state actors that are actually changing the game. I'm talking about the vice president and his doing business indicator and all the moving us forward in that area, and then technology. Nigeria has the highest tech hubs in Africa.
Well, we're fast running out of time, and so we'll have to move on, and let's come to General and say, what do you expect to see in 2022? Safer country?
If the level of coordination, cooperation, and collaboration continues,
right,
it's going to be better, because a lot of people are coming out. So much have been discussed. Somebody said so much grammar. Yes, people have been talking. But if you don't understand that you have a problem, then the problem is massive. But when everybody has come around to understand that we have problems, how do we address these problems? 2 weeks ago, National Orientation Agency organized a seminar. Apart from so many other ones, everybody had been organizing. And a lot of issues came up. Civil society organizations, you can't look at yourself as if you are in the opposition. Most of you are Nigerians. So if the country is not safe, how do you go about to do whatever you need to do? So people are coming up. And then Minister of Education have been told, look, let us go back to the basics. Security, awareness, and education should start from primary school. Let's learn from what the Swedish did in 2011. Let us take it to the family, Orientation Agency, Ministry of Information. Let people start being security conscious and aware of what is happening around them. You can't afford to wait until somebody comes in. We build trust. Based on trust, more confidence in the system, things gets better. People will now be able to meet and talk to maybe a policeman or a military man and say, I have seen something happening here, and somebody reacts. Above all, community policing, the police have been challenged. We'll go back to the drawing board and look at community policing, especially in the rural areas where you don't have enough policemen. Let's use traditional rulers, leaders of opinions, people within the area. Let them come around, and people have a way of securing their environment. Let us go back to the drawing board. You can't be copying somebody without taking your own culture into consideration. Our cultures differ. So you can't be like the Americans. They have a system, they have a way of life. We have our own way of life. Let us go back to what we are, and gradually you build from bottom up, and then let's communicate both ways. The other person was talking about communication, trying to communicate. The problem is, when you keep quiet for so long, when you come out to want to talk to people, it's like, what are you telling me? So the government too has been challenged. You need to communicate more frequently. Don't depend on just one person. You have a meeting, let people be aware. Take example from what is happening in US or UK. The president comes out and talks. This is what we've agreed upon. Somebody, a spokesman is appointed. This is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. Okay. Interministerial committees, let them meet regularly and tell the citizens of what is happening.
All right, thank you so much. And as I always say on this program, no one single program can take care of all the issues at stake. It's a time to start up the conversation, and at some point in time we'll leave the conversation and hope to pick it up another day from a different angle. So, well, we've done almost an hour, 2 hours talking about these issues, and in just some 48 hours, it will be 2022. This exactly is the last edition of NTA Tuesday Live for the year 2021. When next we meet on this platform, it will be talking about what's happening in the new year, which will be 2022. And I'd just like to take out some time here and say, look, for all those who have been part of this program, we appreciate you. We thank you for being part of it. But for tonight, let us say a big thank yous to our guests who have come in here, and we appreciate you being here, and we hope you come again and discuss these issues in greater detail. Thank you so much. Major General Garba Wahab, Director General, Army Resource Center, Abuja. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
Ajuri Ngelale, Senior Special Assistant to the President. You've been always talking about the public and those who are in the administration. We appreciate you for coming on this program, Ajuri. Thank you for coming. And to Professor Kenny Faye, Development Economist, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. And Nigerians will say, well, we look forward to a greater 2022 where we can have more money and a bigger purchasing power in our pockets. Thank you, Prof.
For having me.
And Professor Kabir Matu, who joined us from our Kaduna Network Center. Prof, it's always a delight to have you join these conversations, and Nigerians will be looking out for all the politicking in 2022. Thank you for being on this program.
Thank you very much, Cyril. Thank you very much, and good night.
And also,
good night.
Thank you too for all those who are part of this program tonight. We appreciate you. Next week, next year, we'll be back with NTA Tuesday Live. From me, Cyril Stober, I say, well, get that double vaccination and be boosted. And we'll see you around next year. Bye now.